Good evening, Central Indiana, and welcome to our newest edition of Sports Nuts on Porch Time. We have a special Sunday evening edition because Andy is a baseball coach, and it's baseball season, and it's hard to get stuff done through the week.
Right,
so,
appreciate it.
Yeah, so we switched to Sunday night to accommodate Coach McClain, and we're happy to have you here. Thanks for coming down.
Appreciate that. Glad to be here. I felt bad the other night having to cancel and reschedule, but it was nice weather. And anytime you get nice weather as a Indiana high school baseball coach, you try to take advantage of it as much as you can. So,
especially in the spring.
Yeah, right.
The only thing I was disappointed about that is it was St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to have an Irishman on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, no,
I was going to pretend like I planned it that way, like I was smart enough to think ahead.
I'd have dressed in green. We'd have done it up big. That would have probably been too much.
Yeah, so it's probably a good thing that we didn't. One thing I want to get to right away is I had these guys come out, AMI Roofing. My roof was about 31 years old, and it hadn't started to leak yet, but it was in dire need of some repair. So I called these guys. It's Paul Prather. He's from here.
We go, Bub.
Yeah, he lives in Bloomington now, has a roofing contracting company, AMI Roofing, 812-327-2885. So if you need roofing work done anywhere in Central Indiana, Paul's your guy. He came down. They knocked it out in one day. It was great. So if you're having issues with your roof, give Paul a call. 812-327-2885.
Bub Prather, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I tagged his wife tonight. I'm hoping they're on. Hope they'll get on and listen. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Hard worker.
Yeah.
Built like a built like a truck. Hard worker, I'm sure. Yeah.
So you know who he married? Shauna DeMont.
Oh, no way.
Which is Tony's daughter from Super Sports.
Go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
just drove by a minute ago and brought back great memories. Yeah, the old letter jackets and everything. Mr. Pauly, of course. God
Can you
rest
see
his
the
soul.
one? Yeah, there's the one in the background there.
Artesian baseball jacket.
Artesian baseball.
Those are classic right there. We were laughing earlier that every once Coach Tutterow, of course, didn't take long to get his name mentioned and better. Let me do all that stuff, order all those uniforms and all that stuff. And granted, he didn't have to do it, but he knew I enjoyed it. And we'd mix it up every once in a while and go from the classic red to a blue every once in a while, just to mix things up, just for craziness. But no, that's you talk about traditions right there. Nothing better.
Tony made one of my favorite shirts ever. We were playing slow pitch softball, and we decided we were going to be orange or yellow and black, and so I went and got a number 12. I can't think of it now, from Bad News Bears. What was the gosh, I think of the catcher. Yeah, that's the number I was, 12.
Right.
Because he always had the Snickers.
Engelbert.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Chico's Bell Bonds.
Right. No, it's on the background.
Yeah, so I had Chico's Bell Bonds put on there, and when I picked it up, Tony said, it's got to be one of my top 5 favorite shirts I've ever made.
And that's saying something, because he's done a few shirts.
He's made a bunch, yeah. So
classic.
Yeah, it was funny. So how long did it take you to get down here?
I tell you, it's been interesting. I'll come down to see, and I want to thank my dad for being here. I know I'm going to talk about a lot of my role models here tonight, but he's the man. We all know that. Every one of our dads sitting here and so forth. I was thinking, I wouldn't be anything without him, but that means I am something. I ain't nothing, but I surely would be even less than that without him. So I'm glad he's here. But get to visit him a lot. He still lives there in Shireman, so. Yeah, like I said, crazy. Everything looks so different, and single lane, big trucks, and all that. It wasn't bad. It was about 50 minutes, but
I started to send you a message this morning and say, "Hey, traffic's crazy," but I figured,
time.
But I figured you knew. I mean, it on a Friday night, it is miserable, man.
Fridays are horrible. Yeah.
And Dad says he can't even sometimes even get out of Shireman and get onto Morgan Street just because everybody's cutting through. Craziness.
I'm assuming you have a lot of people cut up into Shireman, thinking that there's a shortcut there to go around.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's funny.
No, it wasn't bad at all. So glad to be here. Just when I think about, again, Coach Tutterow and the baseball program, just Martinsville in general, and all the former players and even students, it just blows me away. So glad to call it home, no doubt.
Yeah, so tell me the story that you told us just before we went live about the Little League team. I think this is
that's
great.
A great way to start. Ryan Thatcher, his dad, I think his dad was IGA guy, right?
Yeah, Randy Thatcher.
Yeah. He was a manager for us and involved in the program and so forth. And then Daniel Lawson, who played football, Those two have sons that are playing Little League Baseball, and they didn't have a sponsor for their team, and they just sent me the message on Facebook that they decided that they were going to go without a sponsor, and they just upped the money. And on the back of their jerseys, it's on Facebook, it says in memory of Coach Bill Tutterow on the back of their jersey, and I think they've got a great big sign that sits on their fence when they play, and so that's the name of their team, the Coach Tutterows, and it doesn't get any better than that. I couldn't believe it when they told me. And I said, "Hey, how much money you need?" And they, "Oh no, it's all taken care of. That's not the point." But awesome. Donate to that in a heartbeat. And how cool is that?
Going forward, that should be a thing every season. Absolutely. They should just designate one team that's red and blue, and call them the Coach Tutterows, and that's one of the teams. Yeah,
doesn't get any better than that. It's so appropriate. And just take my hat off to those two for doing that. What a great idea. Very cool. Yeah.
So that's Michelle Weddle. She says hello from Iowa. It's Michelle on husband's Facebook. Only 6 more days. So Michelle grew up here in Martinsville, and she moved to Iowa.
Okay.
And you know how you want to say stuff on Facebook, but you're like, nah, I don't know if I should or not. Right. Michelle just says it. She did. So she
says it for all of us.
Yeah. So she gets
the truth about things. Right?
Yeah. So she gets put in Facebook jail all the time. So she's been in jail for 30 days. So she has to use her husband's account.
My goodness.
So she only has 6 more days until she gets out because she says stuff that maybe people don't, that softer generation or softer people don't agree with, you know. And so she always comes on and supports us.
That's funny. That's good.
Funny, yeah. So, so everyone's always heard the story about Coach Tut,
right,
using the bat as a cue ball. So tell me what you've seen of it.
Just that's the thing when just kind of thinking about him through all this, think about him every day. That's one of the things about him. Just tremendous athlete. That's what people forget. He was obviously a tremendous baseball coach.
Yeah.
But he was a Martinsville tremendous athlete, before all that. And then, of course, he would call it Central. It's now the University of Indianapolis. But, I think it's probably still their all-time leading hitter there, But just such a competitor. But it was never about him, which I learned quick. And such a teacher, too. That's what people forget, too. A great teacher and a great teacher of the game. But, in accordance to that, just such a great athlete. But, yeah, he would – and it's funny, when he started to get a little bit older, and like me, I'm sitting here with glasses on now, and sometimes he'd complain about his bifocals in the batting cage. You couldn't see quite as well to demonstrate certain things, and that always irritated him a little bit. But yeah, literally pitching machine. And back in the day, now the balls are a little softer in the jugs machine. Because when you get hit by those ones back in the day, it was like a rock. Remember, had the dimples. Now they bounce off the wall. Yeah. But finally, we figured out, hey, that probably ain't the best to have a kid get hit with that. But he literally would off that machine would get, he'd get going a little. It wouldn't be the first swing, but he'd be going and showing you and demonstrating some things. But he never made it about him. He wasn't trying to show you up. He was just trying to teach you. But then every once in a while, that was his way. He didn't show off much.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things he did show off and do. And he literally could take the bat off the end and pull cue that jugs ball coming at you
out of the air.
That's when I knew from then on there to listen to everything he said and call him sir. And he was the baseball god to me. That was one of the clinching moments, no doubt about it.
Let's catch up here. So Luke Mosgrip says, "Hey, Coach, nice to see you."
Good to see you, Luke. I saw you were coaching track now, bud. Good for you.
PJ Lauk says hello.
Family.
Mouse to work here.
Kenny Geiersbach said that's the best story ever. Yeah. So
Kenny, all arms and legs. Oh, Kenny Geiersbach. And, when they talk now spin rate and all that stuff, I'd be amazed to know what his spin rate was back in the in the day. Big breaking ball arm, all arms and legs, and of course Billy too, his older brother. Hit some big home runs for us to win sectional games over Bloomington South, and just see, memories get going, memories start flowing, and everybody contributed.
Billy's an umpire now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he's done probably 10 or 15 of my daughter's games.
Right.
And the first time he came up, he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I talked to him, and then I thought, well, this probably doesn't look really appropriate. I've got all my fan gear on, and I'm sitting here chit-chatting. Yeah. So I told him, I said, from now on, I'm just going to act like I don't know you, because I don't want any.
Don't think I'm being rude, guys. I
don't want any bull crap of, well, that guy knows that umpire. So I would always act like I didn't know him.
Don't add fuel to a fire.
Yeah, make things worse. Especially when you got an M on your chest. You don't want. You don't need any more fuel. So my two favorite stories. that about Coach.
Right.
I've heard people say that they saw him straddle the plate and cue ball the. I've only heard one person tell that. Bob tells the story of him standing in the batter's box, and I've seen him do that, standing in the batter's box, and they, yeah, but I never.
Mine was off a pitching machine.
Off a pitching machine,
right,
yeah.
Right.
The other thing, the old story I heard too was Adam Renard. You remember Adam Renard?
Oh yeah, number 7, rocket for an arm as a quarterback.
Yeah, so he was a quarterback.
Yep.
And they were standing in the end zone one time during practice, just clowning around. They were throwing, and they were trying to hit the post on there.
Oh yeah.
And they were throwing, and they kept missing or whatever. And Tut was standing over there talking to somebody, and he was kind of like watching them out of the side of his eye. And they threw it 10 or 12 times and couldn't hit it, and they were getting frustrated. And so Tut finished his conversation. He walked over there. He goes, "It's not that hard." And he reached in. I guess they had a big sack of balls there. Yeah. And he reached in and got it, went bam, and hit it right there. And he goes, "It's not that hard." And he turned around and walked off. Yeah, like it was no big deal.
Typical.
Yeah, and I always think that's funny. And you talk about him playing at Indiana Central, or what's now UIndy.
Right.
We had David Bolin in here on Wednesday night.
Of course, yeah, and that's where David played football.
And that's where David played football.
Right.
So I went on Indiana Central, or UIndy now, their website to see like if David had any, to try to get some of his stats.
Coach Tutterow on the baseball, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the first thing that popped up was the UIndy Hall of Fame. I was like, oh, that's cool. Right. So I clicked on that, and the first thing that popped up was Bill Tutterow. Right. And it's like, man, I knew he was a good coach, and but I didn't know what kind of athlete he was.
Exactly.
And I said something to my mom, and she said, oh, yeah, he was an outstanding. And I also didn't know that he was from here. I thought Tut was a move-in, like as a coach, but my mom said, like, he grew up.
Born
and I didn't know that. Did you know that he was?
Bucket Factory.
I ain't born and raised, but I knew he'd been here.
Yeah, Bucket Factory and the whole deal.
Yeah, and then they said when we had Joe Siderwitz in, he said Tut invented the bubble screen.
Oh yeah, no
I didn't know that.
That's no BS. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And actually it started, and this is gonna be fun. Jimmy Oakley, who sent me a message the other day, went to Ball State, and I always think he's selling some cars for a while and doing well. Just lightning fast. He was a slot receiver, and I don't know why me, but I guess because I could do what I was told. I think I wasn't big or anything, but yeah, I was a receiver out the side that would block for Jimmy, and Jimmy would get the bubble screen, and we just up in the dome, played a couple teams up in the dome, and just had the time of our life. And yeah, Jimmy went crazy with it.
Joe said it was against Bloomington South in the dome, and he said they realized that they were walking a linebacker out there. Yeah. And Tut was like, that linebacker can't cover Jimmy. So
Coach Tutterow, he would tell the story of a guy with a big neck roll out there. Number 53, he would walk out there, and hey, I'm going to cover Jimmy. He's gone.
Yeah.
Hopefully he was gone. He was, and that was the thing when I was thinking of Coach too, ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But again, he wouldn't rub in your face or didn't tell you he was. He just was.
Yeah.
Whether it be football, baseball, whatever.
On your show too, with Siderwitz and everybody.
They're
all ahead of.
We talked about Bill because I don't know if you know much about the history of football in Martinsville, but in the first 50 years, they won less. They won less than 100 games.
Sure,
Yeah, I mean,
he came in,
and Bill got here, man, and it just took off.
Absolutely.
And we talked to him about that. Brad Quakenbush says Tut was awesome.
Yes, well,
hey,
Bradley knows that for sure. You talk about tremendous athletes, Brad Quakenbush.
Yeah,
baseball player, wide receiver.
He was All-American
I think he threw the javelin at Franklin College. Is that right, Brad?
Really?
If I remember. I could swear it. If he.
Let us know if that's right, Brad.
I think I remember somebody saying he threw the javelin at Franklin College or something.
Hey, Brad. Also, can you make sure Sharon? Sharon knows.
Please.
Yeah, please. See if she can get on because I'd love to.
And I got a good story about Bryant and his son too. I'd like to share. Anyway,
so we talked to Bill about that, and we asked him, what got it going, and he said, well, our weight training, and he was the head of the weight training, and then he gave 100% credit to Tut. He said, Tut was one of the best coaches around. And if you think about that golden era of football,
I thought about driving here. Coach Eric, Coach Coons. Yeah.
They all could have been head coaches. I mean, Tut could have been a head coach. Right. Well, and they all were in different things,
Coach Eric in wrestling, Coach Coons in track. Even Coach Taylor was Coach Tutterow's assistant.
Yes,
he did.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
unreal. What an athlete.
Yeah,
what an athlete.
So his sister, Mindy, she has a daughter, Bethany, who's my daughter's age, and I coached him. Bob and I coached him growing up in basketball, and she's a great athlete, man. She's fast, she's strong, she jumps like she's on a pogo stick, man. I mean, she's a really good basketball player, and she plays in a NAIA school over in Ohio.
That's awesome.
And she started as a freshman, plays tons of minutes. She's a really good athlete, and I always look at her, and I think,
there it is.
Yeah, I knew. Hi, Mike. I knew Loosen Up would have to come up. And that's just talking about. Forgive me for not being able to keep up with this stuff. But that was just always his thing, coaching wise. He was smart enough not to have like visual signals. It was all verbal because baseball is you're all the time saying everything. Nobody ever knew. They just thought we were just chattering or whatever, giving support or whatever. No, everything had a meaning to it. It was a signal, and there's a good story on that with Coach Tutterow's mom as well. I got to get one, but
go ahead.
He had one. Loosen Up was great. And I don't. It was funny. Coach Tutterow has spoke before when I've been in the audience, and he's always. And it was funny. He would stop and say, "Now, Andy, are you still running some of these plays? Because if you are, I won't tell everybody all about them." Which was so great. You know what I mean? I'll keep this. But Loosen Up was, of course, the old fake, the fake throw, and everybody go chasing after it, and you see how many times it works, how many times it works.
It works a lot, yeah.
And he would always laugh. And the other thing the one of 100 things that was so great about Coach was he understood kids and how to talk to kids and how kids thought. Because like he would say with Loosen Up, he would say, "Hey, I know we've done this before, but there's that one kid on the bus." And he's got his headphones on when the coach is up in the front saying, "Hey, now remember they run that play where they fake it." Well, Billy has got his headphones in, and he's the one that's pinch running, and we'll get him too.
That's funny.
But everything was all verbal. But I tell you one, he also had one that was "Don't Be Stupid" was the name of it. You would act like you were winding up with a runner on base, and they would think they're going to, okay, I'm going to steal a base now because you're not from the stretch. And then he would say now, and you'd step off and pick them off when they went to run. But it was, "Don't be stupid because you're stupid." The names made sense. We beat somebody with it over on the south side. And I remember Coach coming on the bus. I can't remember if I was coaching or playing. I think I was even playing. Which was great. Be able to play for him and be able to coach with him, dream come true.
Yeah.
But he came on the bus and he was really red in the face, which didn't happen to Coach much. He didn't get embarrassed, but he said, "Yeah, I'm in trouble, boys." "What's going on, Coach? We've done anything. Who is it? We got him, Coach." And my mom's mad at me. She told me, "Hey, great game. Proud of you, happy for you, good job. But if I ever hear you call those boys stupid again,
that's great."
And he laughed and cried about that.
That's funny.
His mom chewing him out about that, and he tried to explain to her, "That's just a play, Mom."
I'm not calling him that. Stuff. It's just a play.
Right.
So Cammie says, "Is that Andy McClain?" It certainly is.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, face for radio.
Kenny had his own, not a. Signal.
Yeah.
I'm sure that auto-corrected.
Yeah, the way he could just get anything he wanted done. He was like in charge of an orchestra.
Yeah.
In charge of an orchestra, absolutely getting guys to do things.
I'll tell you one of my favorite memories. I don't know why, but I think I was in 8th grade. I was standing on the outside of the fence, and it was it was pouring down rain. It was one of those days where it had rained and it stopped, and they were trying to get the game in. The field was muddy, and I think the umpire was trying to hurry the game along.
Right.
So he rang this kid up on a questionable call. Well, this kid turns around and says something to the umpire, and he slams his helmet down. Well, Tut didn't say a word.
Right.
He walked in this end of the dugout. That kid walked in this end of the dugout. And he met him about halfway, grabbed him by the shirt collar, and pinned him up against the wall.
Right.
And that kid's
back when you could do that.
Yeah, and that kid's feet were probably 2 or 3 inches off the floor. And he explained to him not to do that anymore.
Right.
And said and I just was sitting there, I just thought oh my God, he had those big forearms, everything, and
forearms,
and calves. That was I was going to say that. I remember talking about him being an athlete. It sounded funny to bring up, but of course we're all going to remember. So just those calves are humongous.
Yeah,
and he would just spring around on his toes on him. Just so athletic.
I always knew when he was ticked.
Right.
When he showed his teeth.
Yeah. He would clench. And
you see them pearly whites, boy, and you better run.
He was clenched and holding his breath.
Because
he didn't have to. Yeah, say he didn't. A lot of times he didn't have to say anything. Yeah, he didn't have to say anything. You knew. Yeah.
I think why I remember that so vividly is because he threw his helmet down and said something to the ump, And Tut didn't say anything. And I thought, wow, like that kid's going to get away with that.
Right.
And Tut just calmly walked in there and explained to him that that's not what we're going to do.
Well, and that was the thing, though. But I think the key thing that you said there, and what he always taught me too, was he waited. There he is. They aren't even allowed to run it. Too funny. He would always get you to the dugout, though. He would never embarrass you or get on you out in front of everybody else. And I've always tried to live with that principle too. Come into the dugout, and then we'll talk. Talk about wherever manners take. But he would never do it out there in the field in front of God and everybody. You know.
So Brian says the bad thing about travel ball, they aren't allowed to run loosen up anymore. So
probably like a ball. I'd probably call it some sort of balk or.
So they've outlawed one of the best plays.
Right. Yeah. The funnest plays in baseball. Yeah. I'm glad Brian's on here.
Me too.
I need to add. I tell you, I had a great moment this past summer. Brian's son, Nevin, is a tremendous athlete, three-sport athlete. I'm curious to see when he'll be the quarterback at Westfield. It'll be pretty soon. Yeah. He can throw a football like you wouldn't believe, and Coach Tutterow would be so proud of him and so enamored with him. But Brian got a hold of me this summer and was just talking about baseball with Nevin. And the moral of the story, he came with me. I coached for the Bulls in the summer, which is a lot of fun. And Nevin came in the dugout with me for a Bulls game and just hung out. And we talked about baseball and different things and talked to him about his grandpa and just spent that day with me in the dugout. And I tell you, I know Coach Tutterow was looking down,
Sure.
Thinking, man, this is what
pretty
it's
cool.
all about. It was, one of the better moments I can remember in a long time. So thanks, Brian. I'm glad Nevin came over for that. And, keep your ears open for him. He's going to be some kind of high school athlete in whatever sport he plays.
So how old is he?
He's in the 8th grade, right, Brian? I went over to see him play football this year. A couple games, got to see him play. He's tremendous. But yeah, he's an 8th grader.
Yeah, so he probably didn't get a whole lot of time with Coach Tut.
Yeah.
Of course,
Mr. Tutterow's there in the crowd and so forth. And,
yeah.
And I may even be wrong. He may even be a 7th. I'm pretty sure he's 8th. He looks like an 8th grader. I may even be wrong. He's a 7th grader. He's just so big and strong. But I think he is a freshman, going to be at Westfield High School next year. Yeah.
I don't know why your dad come in with the Bulls hat on. I didn't know you coached them.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's it's a good organization. There's so many out there now. Travel ball is so big, and they've been around the longest. I think maybe what's makes them kind of a big dog, but it's a classy organization, and
don't get us all started.
Take good care of me. Yeah,
Make them cry.
Sorry, good to see you. I was telling them the story about the kiss you gave me on top of the ladder there for the pep session. They told me it was going to be Kathy Ireland or Christy Brinkley, which dates me, but and then it was you climbing the ladder, and then you pied me right in the face. I think it was maybe girls basketball with Coach Connor, I believe. They're talking about Nevin there.
Yeah, I'd never heard that story when you were telling me that. I said, well, I believe it.
We've got some pictures, yeah. I think it was the girls' basketball with Coach Connor, Pep Riley or something. But, yeah,
that's funny.
Pied me right in the face. Nevin is 8th grade. That's what I thought. Yeah,
great.
Good deal.
Still talks about some of the little things you told him about the game, picking up teammates, yeah.
That was just your dad talking to him through me.
Yeah.
But
isn't it funny how that flow? I mean, like...
Yeah, no, seriously.
How much stuff from Coach Tut do you use when you...
I mean, no exaggeration. I mean, just all like, and again, like we could probably all these guys that come on and remember sayings like Kenny thought of a few, and he would always say, "Don't do anything after you get the ball that you could have done before, mentally or physically." Things like that, just all kind of things like that.
Say that again.
Don't do anything after you get the ball you could have done before, mentally or physically. So like body positioning on certain things, and of course, the mental things too. But but he was big on physically getting yourself. Before you get the ball, don't do anything after you get the ball you could have done before. Yeah, mentally or physically, just stuff like that. That just it wasn't like a T-shirt, and he wasn't trying to sound smart, or he wasn't trying to impress you or be with about him. He was just trying to teach it, and help you win.
It surprises me how many times you see people get the ball hit to them. And then you can see them thinking,
"Wait a minute,
oh, what do I do now? Like, what's the situation?" Like, they hear the tink of the bat and they look up, and you can see the panic on their face. Like, "Oh, I hope that's not hit to me."
Sometimes it makes them even miss it because their brain's working on what to do with it, and they don't even physically, execute the play.
Instead of having those thoughts before, it's interesting how that happens. So, you played mid 80s.
I was I graduated in '87. I was 85, 86, 87. We were talking about Johnny Elliott earlier. We were talking about Johnny. He was the catcher before me. And I'd tell you one thing about Johnny, if he's on or hears or maybe hear it later, Coach Tutterow always basically pretty much now I've got one of the sweeter swings around sitting right across the table from me right here in Corey Baker, left-handed sweet swing. But he always, I remember him saying several times he thought Johnny Elliott was probably one of the best hitters at Martinsville baseball, if not the best coming through. He just really, just had that admiration for Johnny as a hitter.
Johnny,
yeah, 85 through 87 there.
Johnny has a daughter that's the same age as my daughter.
Okay.
She was a catcher.
Right.
She was a stud.
Right.
She could hit.
Absolutely.
She could catch.
Right.
She was really good. Her name was Anna.
Right.
Or it still is Anna.
That's
It's not like she's but she was really good. She was really good.
Those stories are neat. I think of brothers. I think of the brothers, like I think of the Geyers box and all the different brothers.
His brother
come
Luke.
Through Luke and Corey and and then now to think that there's now their children, are here playing. It's unreal. Yeah.
Julie,
there you go. Hi, Julie.
She's a big Porch Time supporter. She helps us out a lot.
She's a Martinsville lady through and through.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you played with Brad Quakenbush?
Let's see. Brad was older. I tell you, my guy. We were just talking about super sports. Larry Pauly. Larry Pauly played with me. Frank's son.
Okay.
Rick Joe Henningsmeyer was an awful great player for us.
He had a daughter that won a state championship at Avon. She played center field.
I wanted to say Mooresville was Avon. That's right. And Brian Chambers, we were talking about, who was just on the police force.
It was Plainfield. Sorry, it was Plainfield.
Yeah.
Not
Well, I knew it was somewhere in
Plainfield.
that area.
Yeah.
Brian Chambers, who was on the police force, was a pitcher for us.
He was a pitcher, yeah. I remember him. He was good.
Yep. Jeff Stansbury, he was around, and Mark Applegate.
Rats, or was he?
Eric's older. Eric's older.
Kevin.
Behind me.
Mike Sampson.
Yeah.
Your dad's Mike Sampson.
Yeah, Mike Sampson, who lived down the street from me.
Man, you had some dudes.
We had some players, yeah. We had that group played in a tournament up in Fort Wayne, which is funny because when I lived up there, I remember the hotel we stayed in had a Sandy Colfax team that did real well. That Mr. Pauly, and there was a Chip Mullen, his dad, Ron. He lived here for a couple years and moved away. And the Sampsons and Mr. Pauly all coached, Butch Sampson, and we had some success at a young age with that Sandy Colfax League, which turned into the Junior Legion eventually. And that picture sat, and I would venture to say, I think probably still there. Light blue uniforms. I would think if a lot of those pictures, if they used to have the pictures in there along the wall, all the old stuff going on
at Super Sports, they took them down. They had them there until Tony died, and then when the new ownership took over, they took them down.
Yeah,
I'm sure they still have them
somewhere.
But what did they do on the entryway? I know they took a lot of them down in there.
I can't remember what's there now.
I don't remember either. Yeah.
But that was a good crew, and like Julie said, the class of '87 was a darn good one.
Brad was '82.
Yeah. I remember he was earlier than he should be having some gray hair by now if he graduated back then.
Well, and speaking of Bradley too, and talking about family and brothers, and of course his brother Dell coached me a lot when I was young too.
Really,
was a great catcher at Martinsville as well.
Yeah,
Big Dell.
Yeah, I remember Johnny being a really good football player.
Yeah, tight end.
Yeah. And then I remember him hitting a home run one time, and it was and it's just one of those where you heard the crack of the bat and you look up and it just
majestic.
One of those majestic and he was just you could just he was always a good athlete at everything. He's one of the ones I pitched in slow pitch.
Right, I'll say softball, and
he was one of the ones I was afraid of.
There protection.
I mean, I would throw it and I would always try to put it inside. So it's like if me or if me or the third baseman have to die, it's like sorry, dude, but I don't want it in.
I feel you 100%. I do that sometimes with kids in batting practice too. So reflexes aren't like they used to be. Get behind that L screen. Let me just keep it inside to him. He'll feel good. He's hitting them, pulling them, hitting them out of the park.
But he's not hitting them off my chest.
Exactly. So. And even like you just think about everybody's families and things here at Mars, just like the Elliots too. Like Mike and Randy are Johnny's brothers, and they were my coaches for the Packers and junior league football.
Funny.
Just how that, like you say, how just the whole thing progresses, and their brothers and him, and now his kids. It's just
his kids are coming.
I mean, that's what community is about.
So how was your high school time? You guys won sectionals while you were there?
I'll tell you what we did. We won. Probably the biggest thing was we we won the conference.
Okay.
And it was kind of a neat story with Coach Tutterow. I was always hanging out in his classroom, and I found something in a record book, like you were talking about, looking at that Central stuff. I looked, and we hadn't won it was the South Central Conference at the time, SEC. We hadn't won the darn thing in 31 years.
Really?
I'm not kidding you. So, and I thought, man, if we do anything, let's win this conference this year. And I even made some sort of goofy sign and put it up in the dugout, as a senior in high school. 31 years, I think I wrote on there. And by God, we won it, I think the championship game was at our place. Beat Columbus North. Their coach at the time was Bill Stearman, the basketball coach. He coached baseball.
As well as basketball.
He was a long time basketball and coached baseball. But that was obviously first time in 31 years was a big accomplishment.
So I remember being in the SEC, but who all was it? Was it Rushville, Connersville?
Yeah, and Bloomington North, Bloomington South, Seymour, Shelbyville, Connersville.
Man, you had to travel a little bit.
I mean, it was all over the place. Yeah.
Terre
Haute. They were later. Yeah, they were later.
They ended up being
they were in the next round.
Remember we went to cluster in football.
Yeah, because back then you didn't just make the tournament. In football, you had to qualify, right?
Columbus North was the only.
Right. Yeah, East wasn't, North was. Columbus North was. You're right. You're right. So it was weirdly. Yeah.
So that's a stacked conference.
Exactly. We won the sectional in '84. So that would have been Johnny's. I think Johnny was a big part in that one. With that group, I'm trying to think who else was in. Oh, John, John Kerr was in that group.
John Kerr, that's right.
Big John Kerr.
He was always a good athlete too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
John Elliott. So
who were your pitchers? I know you have Brian Chambers.
And Larry Polly pitched. Ricky Johnny's Meyer pitched some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think that? I always feel like, don't you think it's all about the pitching? I mean,
it's baseball, and that's what's funny. No, you're no doubt.
I mean, you can have all the dudes you want, but if you can't get people out,
as much as I love hitting and I love like placing guys on defense and teaching defense and catchers and so forth, pitching's it.
Yeah,
it's the name of the game.
Do you call pitches?
You know what? I don't. Coach used to. I tell you what, it doesn't happen much anymore. It depends on how controlling the coach is. It kind of disrupts the flow of the game a little bit. Kids are a little bit baseball smarter. They're playing so much now.
Yeah.
I mean, travel ball and everything. Pitchers can be a little hard headed and want to shake off and this stuff all the time. So you just kind of hand it to them. The biggest thing with me is I think it just helps the flow of the game better. The game, instead of looking over and waiting and doing all that, and just the flow of the game's better and then a kid's learning the game and they're interacting with the pitcher and learning the game. It's not just being a robot and doing what we're telling you to do. Do
you like the cards where they say 187 and the kid looks down,
gosh,
or would you rather do this?
It's funny. When I was an assistant at Brebeuf one time, we got beat one game and we were getting drilled, and I just felt like, the other team knew the signals because the head coach was calling pitches and was doing that, and I think they had them.
Yeah.
So then we thought about going to that system. I think we even did for 1 or 2 years. John Zangrilli is my buddy's name. And we did it for a while, but it just seemed to really just slow the game down.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking at that. I was watching some softball the other day, it was Oregon and UCLA maybe, unreal, just out a tremendous softball. And they were, every one of them had it. And I know some of it's like cheating for positioning and all that. But, I don't know. I think, to me, it just disrupts the flow of the game a little bit. I don't know.
Kenny says great pitching will get great hitting out 95% of the time.
Said by a pitcher who had incredible stuff. Like I said, all arms and legs, and had incredible stuff. So, all that did Kenny's talking for him. That's funny.
Played on a travel team that used
the cards,
wristbands, and they thought it was cool wearing the wristbands. But
sure.
He's a little.
You feel like it kind of just disrupted the flow of the game.
I'm coaching third base, and I got to pull the card out, and what do I want to call it?
Right.
Okay, 31. I'm like.
When they first started becoming popular, I didn't like them at all. Now they don't bother me. I'm kind of like, whatever. It's like, but at first I didn't like them.
After a while, it was fine. But at the beginning, I'm like, what is this?
What do you think about the fast pitch softball?
It blows me away how, like, the third baseman scoot back a little bit. I mean, I don't see how they do it. Their reactions, I mean, it's just like a little mini game in there.
It's like baseball and speed. I mean, it's so fast.
Close and so fast.
it makes me laugh. Like, you'll go to a high school baseball game, and there'll be softball going on over here. They'll start at the same time. This will be in the 5th inning, and this will be in the 3rd inning.
That's kind of sad.
This game will be over, and this game's in the 4th inning. And it's like, I mean, the girls just they don't have to step out and do all the stuff, all the adjustments. They just get in and play. And I love watching the fast pitch on when it's on ESPN and stuff. I mean, some of those girls are incredible. I mean, and they throw it 65 from 43 feet.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see how they do it.
Yeah, it's what Brad say, Tut had me throw a curve 95% of the time because my fastball was only 52.
Coach was definitely famous for that. And again, we were talking about Corey's sweet swing. He had a pretty darn good breaking ball too, sitting here across the table.
I'm right there with Brad. That's
right. And I think Coach was kind of ahead of his time there too. Like he would teach the pitch and have guys throw it a lot, and he would keep his, he never hurt anyone. Everybody was, don't throw the breaking ball too much, it'll hurt your arm and this and that. And that was definitely not anything that Coach would ever do, would hurt anyone in any form. He just, he knew if it was okay for your arm and you practice it and you were in condition, you could throw it, and then it gets high school hitters out. No doubt about it.
I'll tell you my favorite curveball story ever. So Jerry Kohler.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I've got a good one too then. All right.
So he grew up in Brooklyn or Centerton. So he didn't play Little League in Martinsville. He played Little League in Mooresville.
Right.
Yeah. So So we'd always heard about Jerry and what a great pitcher he was. Well, I was always a good hitter.
Right.
So I couldn't wait to get him. So we're playing Pony League right before you go into high school.
Right.
Yeah, so I was like, I want to see how good this dude is.
All right, let's see what this Kohler's got.
Go see it.
Okay,
I get up and he's pitching. I'm like, yeah, man, I've been waiting on this dude. So he throws one right at my ear, and so I'm like, oh, so I close my eyes and turn my back.
Right.
And I'm waiting for it, and the umpire goes, strike one. And I kind of looked at him, and he said, that's a curveball, son. You got to hang in there. So next pitch, he throws it right at my ear hole, and I clinch up like that, and it had this funky spin on it, and it just turned right across the plate. And he said, strike two. So the third one, he threw right in my ear hole, and it went, phoop. And I was like, I got nothing for that. And I just turned and walked back to the dugout. It was like, I'll never forget that, man. I was like, this is the funkiest thing I'd ever seen.
Jerry was a freshman when I was a senior. And he would always come up to me and ask me, and he was on the varsity, of course. He would say, hey, what time do you guys leave tonight for the game? And I'll never forget it. I'm like, Jerry, what are you talking about? What time do we leave? You're on the team. Say we, Jerry. It's not us, And I can remember at our place one time, the first time he got on the mound as a freshman, and here I am, senior catcher, so on and so forth. And he had just kind of came up from the JV, so I hadn't caught him much. So, got those big lights at Martinsville and all that. And he threw me the first breaking ball in the warm-ups in between innings. And that thing started off in the lights and came down out of, and it was a miracle I caught it. And I can remember, and I'm sure Jerry would laugh. I'm sure he remembers. I mean, I remember going out to the mound saying, hey, Jerry, keep that thing out of the lights. I can't see it. I'm trying to make sure I catch these things, It was unreal. And that's when I knew, hey, man, this guy's... And then, of course, his fastball just blew out of his hand like a rocket.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That break, literally, I remember it came out of the lights and dropped down. I was like, oh, man, I'm not going to be able to catch this thing, this little freshman.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, didn't throw hard enough to hurt their hand.
That's
very
funny.
Good. Eric Hoskins, there's a good one.
Yeah.
There's a good. And again, brother Shane. Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So Bob Denton usually comes in and sits with it. He had a big old 12-6 curveball. Yeah,
huge. A lot of umpires could hardly, at times, even call it a strike because they would jump.
Yeah,
it drove Coach Tutterow crazy. They would jump at it sometimes and be, fooled and thrown off, and And I can remember coming back in the summer with Bobby. I mean, seriously, how could a guy that big be that great an athlete?
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, I think like Shaq or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that big a dude shouldn't be throwing that kind of break ball, throwing no hitters.
Yeah.
And being able to guard Glenn Robinson and shut him down. You know what I mean?
You're in the box and you see a 6'5".
Yeah.
That's intimidating.
Grown man.
And he's what? How tall's the mound?
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I remember I came back and, I mean, it was a really good Coach Tutterow story for me, and it ain't about me. We got beat. We were talking about 87. We got beat in the sectional by Mooresville. And 2 days later, you know how it is, Corey, we were starting summer ball, and there was a summer ball game 2 games later, and I didn't know what to do. I was done.
Yeah.
But I went to the game, and I'm standing over there by the visitors' dugout by the fence. just watching the game because I didn't know what else I was supposed to do. And about a half an inning passed, and all of a sudden, and again, like Coach Tutterow didn't have to say much, is he looked over at me, pointed at me, and pointed at the first base coach's box.
Nice.
So I hopped the fence and jumped in there, and
away we go.
And away we go. You know, and I did it every summer, and then came back there to teach and coach, and that was it. I hate to say the rest is history. That makes me sound too important, but it literally was. I mean, he looked and pointed at the first base coaching box. So I said, all right, you know, I always tried to do what he told me to do. So and obviously I'll never forget that.
Tim Burnham says,
hi, Tim Burnham. How you doing, bud?
Regionally
There's a good football player back in the day. Talking about Martinsville football.
Yep.
But Bob didn't. Well, I remember coaching this summer. And one time I had to go out on the mound to talk to Bob, and that was embarrassing. Just simply because, I felt like one of those, Big Ten basketball coaches trying to talk to a player, like Coach Izzo looking up. That's my favorite. Yeah. Coach Izzo gets him to come down to his level so he can chew him out.
That's funny.
But I can remember thinking, oh, man, I bet, that's a big boy being that good an athlete. But you talk about a breaking ball.
Taught me the breaking ball, and Bob taught me the 12 to 6.
12 to 6, dropping straight down. Yep. And you get those big fingers on top of it and pull it down.
Yeah. Don't you think that's a big part? Having long fingers and big hands to make it. I mean, make it spin. Yeah,
huge.
There was a girl that played with my daughter when we were 10, and she had long fingers. And man, she could throw it. And as she got older, because when they play 10U, the ball's smaller, and then when you move up to 12, then the ball gets a little bit bigger, and they move it back. But when she could use a small ball, I mean, man, she could really hum it and spin it. Yeah. So then
Eric brings up this point too. I was going to talk about just when I think about Martinsville baseball. And Tim, I got you on Robbie, yes, because he's up in Fort Wayne, bud. With Eric talking about leisure play, that was the thing. There was a time when we had some summer baseball camps, and again, Coach Tutterow let me do those on my own.
Yeah.
I was able to. I mean, all the money money went to me, just the stuff like how selfless he was and the opportunities he gave me. I just owe him like you wouldn't believe. But we would have like baseball camp there from 5-year-olds till 12-year-olds, and then we had, then the junior legion would come in and play, and then you had the varsity legion. So you're talking about in Martinsville, we had 5-year-olds up to 18-year-olds on that field in one day doing things, and that's just 7 straight regionals. That's what happened. You know? And those legion teams, like those junior legion teams, are so fun. I was able to coach those, and because I knew Coach Tutterow, and I could help guys get ready. This is what it's going to be like on the varsity.
This is what he's going to expect.
This is what he's going to expect, and it just really ran well.
I think so.
What do you think? The big boys from Rob was senior, he had the largest team. That's right. And he was, Coach was proud of that. Doug Bridwell,
he was always good.
Was Pat Martin?
Pat Martin would have been in that group.
Right?
He would have been in that group.
Two
big boys.
We had a big team. Yeah.
Tim's asking about Rob Harmon there, who was in my class, didn't play baseball, but was a football and basketball player. Rob was actually played at Ball State, and he was on, if you remember Rick Majerus.
Yep.
He played on Rick Majerus' practice team.
Nice.
When Ball State was really good, but he's him, and he married Melanie Bess.
Bob Gregory. Yeah, there we go.
Yep. Or the Gregory's, of course.
Yeah.
Jimmy Gregory, I forgot about him.
Brian should be in here. But anyway, Rob's up in Fort Wayne working for the hospitals up there, Tim, and doing well. Married, of course, to Melanie.
Doesn't Rob just have a son that committed to Butler to play basketball?
Yeah, great basketball player. Yeah, he was to Homestead High School, which kind of reminds me, it's kind of the Carmel of Fort Wayne.
Okay.
They're even the same colors. They're like blue and gold, whatever. Yeah. Yep, doing real well.
So Bob pitching, Bridwell catching, Pat Martin at third, Corey at short, and Jimmy Gregory at second. Yeah.
That was
the Gregory's you talk about. Yeah, absolutely.
You know who I tried to find tonight was Scott Runyon, but he's not on Facebook. And
I see his twin Briar all the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Scott's another one of those Martinsville guys, just big, strong, husky catcher. He was
Pretty sure he caught Jerry Kohler's fastball.
Yes.
Barehanded.
Barehanded. Yeah, I've heard that story too. Yeah.
I can't remember who that was against.
Yeah, I've heard that story too.
He was set up here and he threw it out.
Yeah, right. Throw it back. Yeah,
that's funny.
I've heard that. I've heard that story, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
That's funny. So, you finish up at Martinsville and you go to Manchester.
Right.
So take me through the recruiting process. Like how did that work? How many schools were you talking to?
I tell you what, that was kind of fun, and there's a good story there. I was really looking at St. Joe. Remember, Dad, we went up to St. Joe in Rensselaer, which ain't even a school anymore.
Right.
And I'm such an idiot. I go up there for a visit, and I think, now did Adam Bernard play some football there? Is that where Adam went?
He played football, but I don't know where.
I can't remember. I think he may have went to St. Joe for a minute. Anyway, the other funny thing about Rensselaer, of course, when you were talking to Coach Tutterow, it's the Rensselaer Bombers. That's where he started off.
That's where he started,
the Bombers. Anyway, I went up there for a visit, and I just remember it was a nice place, but that it was freezing cold that day, you know. Funny. And I thought, wow, shoot, I ain't going here. It's freezing cold. So instead, I go to Fort Wayne, Manchester, like it was the tropics. I really went quite a bit south, you know.
That's funny.
I tell you what, this is a funny story. I'm trying to think if I should tell it or not, but
yeah, go ahead.
I tell you what, I took a visit at Franklin College as well. And I won't mention, I tell you what, I won't mention any of the names. That'll make it better. But the coach there, I was in the cafeteria with the coach, and I really liked Franklin. And it was close to home. Not much difference between Franklin and Manchester.
Sure.
But I can remember the coach, we were sitting there in the lunch cafeteria, and there was this really pretty blonde girl who was a Martinsville girl who was at Franklin who came by and said hello. Okay?
Yep.
And I can remember the coach kind of making some sort of off-the-cuff comment about, hey, nah. And which very well was probably true, but it wasn't really what I wanted from my baseball coach and who was recruiting me at the time, Yeah. Tell me your baseball, not if you think that this girl's
pretty a
hot one or something, you know. So that kind of did it for Franklin, and again, I got nothing against pretty girls, know, but it was just kind of a weird deal, and I thought, well, man, I really don't want to hear that from you, buddy.
Kind of inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. And not that anybody was perfect, but it's just kind of like, wait a minute, it just wasn't what I didn't want to hear at the time, but it's just one of those things where. And I think I've heard this with a lot of my kids, different places they go. You just feel like when you see it, you just feel like I can see myself here. I fit in, and I can visualize myself here, and I'm glad I did. Smaller school, and of course, if you guys remember, of course, Steve Alford. I missed Steve Alford by 1 year. He was after I graduated, he came in and he was a basketball coach there.
Yeah,
and I did get to talk to him, and mention like the next year I was back on campus, and and we talked about Martinsville and everything, and so forth. But,
what was his? That's interesting. What were his thoughts about Martinsville? Did he like it here?
Oh no, he spoke very high. He spoke very highly because we talked, and of course, he was buddies with Joe, with Coach Joe.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and he was very, very fond of it.
You remember when we got beat by Warren, Sean and Steve and Sam were in the locker room at Martinsville after we got back home.
That's right. In football, from the football.
Sean was in first grade with us and would have played with us.
Okay. But, I forgot about Sean. That's right, too. Yeah. And I can remember Steve even at Newcastle coming back and playing baseball at Martinsville with an invite we had way back in the day. Newcastle and Ben Davis. And, Steve even played some baseball.
How was he at baseball?
He was okay. What
did he play?
I think he played shortstop and pitched a little bit. Just a good athlete, but he had some other things going on in his life.
Yeah,
he could put a ball through a hoop pretty good.
Yeah, these guys keep talking about the '95 team. We're gonna get there. I don't want to jump ahead yet.
No,
we're gonna get there.
I've got a good story about that ranked number 1 on Coach Tutterow. A couple of good stories
on
that. Yeah. Well, during that year, and of course, it's funny. When you rank number 1, people think, you try to play it off as, it's no big deal, no pressure. No, I tell you what, coaching wise, even I thought, man, if we're the number 1 team in the state, we've got this infield's even got to be perfect. When we do pregame infield, you feel it. You'd like to say maybe you don't. It's just like, playing in a state championship game where you think, you're not going to be nervous. Be honest. You're going to be a little nervous. You got to plan for it and be ready for it.
Because the lights are on and everyone's there looking. And people are critical of coaches anyway. Right. But when you're the number 1 team, we're like, I don't know why they're number 1 because they're.
But the best thing with that year, it was about halfway through the season. I think we're about 15 or 16-0. I think we'd just beaten Seymour. And again, it was one of those things. Coaching now, Coach Tutterow comes on the bus and he's really fired up and in a great mood. Of course, we won, but he's just really extra fired up. Comes, hits me in the arm, and goes, Andy, guaranteed winning season. it was halfway through the year, and we were 15-0. We were only going to play 29 games, so all he was that's all guaranteed we were going to win. I said, Coach, we're the #1 team in the state. But yeah, we're going to guarantee winning season.
That's
and then
funny.
and then about halfway through that, young chirping. I'm thinking, no, listen to what the man's saying. Oh, I got it. Yep.
Yeah, I understand.
Typical him, guaranteed winning season.
That's funny.
Are you kidding me? We're #1 in the state.
So what? Steve offered Papa Shot at the Inside Scoop. What's he talking about?
Was there a machine, or was he good at it, or is there a Steve Alford Papa Shot? There used to be an old machine there, maybe with it that he sponsored. I think with the backboard. I think is what I'm remembering. Possibly. Funny.
Think about this. So Coach Wolf's son, TJ.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Coaches at UCLA right
awesome.
now.
Yep.
So there have been 3 people from Martinsville coach at UCLA. If you think it's not 3 people from Indiana,
no,
it's 3 people from Martinsville
right.
have coached at UCLA. I mean, isn't that crazy?
How does that happen?
Yeah. So I just when TJ was at Cincinnati and Mick Cronin got the job at UCLA, I was thinking, God, I hope TJ gets to go with him, and he did, and it was really cool. And I talked to Ryan a little bit, Ryan said, man, when that banked in shot from half court went in, he said TJ was just devastated, man. He said to get that close and then get beat on something like that, man.
Right there,
yeah. I mean because they felt like they could beat him.
They were on such a run.
Yeah, and
that's all it takes.
Yeah. I saw an interview with Mick Cronin, and he said before the tournament, he said we weren't winning, but we were playing well, and he said I felt like we could play well and continue. And man, they were. Shot. I mean, they were a half court shot away from being in the national championship game.
He's he obviously a great coach. I had a kid when I was at Arlington High School that went and played for him at Cincinnati, Deontay Vaughn.
Okay.
And you could tell back then he was a real good coach, and I talked to Ryan recently too, and I know he's still involved in the community and so forth. And that was tremendous for TJ and that whole family, great family, and God rest coach's soul. But
Ryan has a son that can play.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Pretty much everything. Sure. He's quarterback in football. He's good at basketball, but I think baseball's his favorite sport.
Ryan's told me that. Ryan has told me that because obviously he picks my ear on baseball. That's that again. There you go. They're the greatness that they had, and then now their sons. It's just unreal. You think Chris Wilburn? I remember I ran into Chris Wilburn years ago at
Chris, a good dude.
Back when he was actually at Loyola, and you'll laugh in the bleachers at a Cub game.
Oh, nice.
And I almost I was like, Chris, shouldn't you be in class or something, buddy?
Come on.
Dad and I used to go see him. That was when they were in the same conference with Butler, so Loyola come down here and play at Hinkle and see Chris. God, it's so good.
Wouldn't it be cool to be a college kid in Chicago and be able to have that and go do
just for your fun off days, go to Wrigley,
and just go there in the
Rush Street,
hang out.
Right. You got a daughter there now,
right.
So.
Put a lot of quarters. Brian said he put a lot of quarters in that thing. Oh, it was his first
size.
business after college. It was full size and out front of the scoop. I did not know that.
Brian's taking us way back. And when I think of the Inside Scoop, I think Coach Taylor and Coach Lips were I think the original buyers and owners.
They've got cones set up now to block the road because now that's the main thoroughfare in the town. And so everybody would come up and try to turn left, and it would block traffic. Well, now they've got cones up where you can't turn left into there because they don't want the traffic. The traffic's bad enough as it is. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah. So you played at Manchester, and then
I tell you what I did there too, just real quick. I ended up coaching there my last year.
Yeah.
I think my junior year I got lucky and had an errorless season.
Playing
catcher, and got everything I wanted out of it. Knew I wasn't going to be a professional baseball player, so I was like a grad assistant basically. And what really was silly was they paid me by the hour, which was kind of weird and kind of fun. But that was a great experience for me, and then able to go.
So kids say, "Hey, can you stay after and help me?" And you're like, "Yeah, absolutely.
I'm on the clock.
Yeah, let's stay here all night."
Yeah, right.
That's funny. So you have a record that will never be broken.
That is kind of fun. I've always thought of that, and or at least tied. Yeah, so
it can be tied, but it can never be broken.
Right.
That's funny. So what made you pick Manchester? Just what you just felt comfortable when you got there to
I felt like I fit there, and I tell you, again, Coach Seidowitz, and I also thought about going to IU, and I was going to walk on.
Yeah.
Coach Morgan was the baseball coach there at that time. If you remember that name.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've always gone to his camps. My mother worked at IU. And I would have went there and walked on and been a bullpen catcher or something and been fun. And I tell you what else I would have done was been a football manager, much like Coach Joe did.
At IU.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coach Mallory was there, and I went to their football camps and thought really highly of them. And I know with Coach Seidowitz just trying to get that arranged for me. And that would have been kind of cool, to go to all those Big Ten football stadiums. And,
Yeah.
A lot of those guys end up being, coaches.
Yep.
They're not managers picking up towel. They're literally helping a coach. And I often wonder, what that would have been like if I had done that. But, can't go with the show without mentioning my daughter, right, Dad? Met my daughter's wife there at Manchester, and she's daddy's girl, love of my life. 26 years old now, so I'm glad I went to Manchester.
Nice, it worked out, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So then from there, you come to Martinsville from Manchester to Martinsville.
Came back, and that was again a lot of Coach Tutterow. I just wanted to work with him and be with him, and in this community, welcoming me back. Mr. Otter was the superintendent at the time, if you remember him, Jim Otter, Mr. Otter, and dream come true, And I taught science, one door down from Coach Tutterow, so anytime he was right there. And just dream come true, And it's funny. A lot of people at Manchester would say, "No, you don't go back to your hometown. It's too much pressure, too hard to do. Go out on your own." But so glad I did. Funny story thing about coaching. That you guys will get a kick out of this. Teaching next to Coach Tutterow. Again, he was just such a great teacher. Somebody even else. I saw that pin up there a minute ago. We had a thing, and they mentioned Rob Harmon. Tim Berman mentioned Rob Harmon. His wife, and I hate to embarrass her, I've told my dad this story, but real quick, multiple choice, Coach Tutterow taught astronomy. So the multiple choice was, who was the first man on the moon? And Ernest T. Bass was one of the choices. Oh. And Melanie Bess put Ernest T. Bass as her answer for the first man on the moon. And again, Coach Tutterow would never embarrass a kid or try to, but he, you talk about getting a big kick out of something. Somebody actually put that for an answer. He funny. Loved every minute of that. And obviously, here we are 30 years later, I'm still remembering it. And sorry, Melanie, but that was a good one. But he was tremendous teacher, and being able to teach next to him and mentor under him and work with him and 7 straight regionals.
So, do you know that Ernest T. Bass, the guy, was one of the writers on the Andy Griffith Show?
Oh, was he really?
And they needed a fill-in for one episode,
and that's what happened. So
they created him, and he's
up.
only in like 5 or 6 episodes, but he's so memorable. You think he's in like 30 episodes, but he was only in a handful. But that's off topic.
Classic stuff.
So I always say like the early 80s, from like 80 to 84, 85 was the golden era of Martinsville football, because I mean 10-0, 3 seasons in a row, a bunch of sectionals, a bunch of conferences. So you come back and they win 7 regionals in a row. I mean, that's the golden era of baseball. I mean,
it's crazy to think of.
So it starts in 92 was the first one.
Let's see,
93 was the first one.
And that the best
I
thing.
graduated in 92. I'm like, really, guys? Run up 7 of them back
Right.
Yeah.
The neatest thing about that one was Bert Neff, right?
Yes.
Because he must have got you then as a junior.
That's who we played.
Right.
Championship.
Mooresville kid, lefty, 200 strikeouts, and he was coming back that next year, Bryant's senior year, right? Am I right? It'd have been because Bryant was 1 year behind you, right?
Bryant was 1 year behind me.
Yeah.
I thought Neff was my grade. Maybe not.
I'm pretty sure Bryant will help us out. Bryant went to
Hoskins said 93.
Yeah, we went to semi-state, right?
Yeah.
But Neff that next year, the whole season, hey, we've got to beat this kid in the sectional if we want to do anything. You're ready for that the whole year. And I can just remember, even Coach Tutterow talks about it, just that team getting ready to play Neff in the sectional championship. I mean, I think, we were upstairs, had the pitching machine, that old upstairs, cranked up to about 150 or something. And Coach even talked about it. That whole team came out in a big horde and big group, all walking, marching in to get, from upstairs to get ready to go playing with just like fire in their eyes. And, he wasn't going to stop me. We beat the kid. He ended up pitching some at IU, and I think he's still around the city doing some baseball stuff himself. But Bryant can help us out. But I'm pretty sure Bryant's team beat him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Bryant's team beat him, and and after he had dominated. Yeah, sorry, mate.
It was a close game in my senior year against him.
Right, yeah, heartbreaker.
I think
right, heartbreaker. Yeah,
Gregory pitched the championship because I pitched.
Yeah, night before. Yep.
And I think it was 2-1 us, something like that.
Heartbreaker.
We had one bad inning, and they went up, I think 5-2, or maybe it was, I don't know what it was. And we had one bad inning, and we couldn't.
And those juniors of that year were so in the whole. They said, hey,
hey, I went 1-2 against him.
There you go.
Lefty on lefty too.
Yeah, nice. So did they have pitch counts back then, or it was a free for all?
No, it was it was a whole 10 innings in 3 days. That whole yeah.
Which is silly, the innings and not the pitches. I mean, because you could throw a 9-pitch inning,
right,
and it counts the same as a 50-pitch inning.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah.
We lost 1-1.
Yeah,
of course.
It was a good game.
Yeah. Bryant should be here. Bryant's still got a young brain. He's good. He's got it all.
That comment from Rusty. That's Michelle. Yeah, she says Martinsville said.
That's what we were talking about. Yeah, like you said. Yeah.
I mean,
Coach Kuntz, Coach Eric, and guys that were there for 20, 30 years, the stability, you knew, again, you had them as a coach, they had your sons as a coach,
You've talked about, if Kuntz and Tut, and they were all still alive.
Oh, I would love.
Coaches roundtable. You imagine the stories all them guys would talk about.
I would love to get Kuntz, Eric, Tut, Sideway, and just put them in here and get out of the way and just turn the cameras on and go, you guys just talk and just let them go. That would be
it'd be legendary for sure.
I remember I was at IU when Coach Kuntz passed away, and I had class and I had to get out of class, and my hair was all I had a mop, so I was like, I went to get a haircut and I left from there and went straight to it, and the line was wrapped all the way, and I stood outside for an hour probably waiting to get in.
My thing along with that, Dean, was we had baseball practice the night before, and we were pitchers and catchers were upstairs in the gym on the one level. Batting cage used to be here, and then pitchers and catchers we'd run over there. And I walked by that football office there, and it sounds silly. I don't know what it sounds like, but actually somebody else was involved in this. One of those things,
Yeah.
I walked past and I stopped and I came back and I went in there and we talked for about 5 minutes about this and that. And then I went on up to baseball practice, and I even thought, well, shoot, I can't be late getting upstairs. But something made me stop and talk to him. And then Luke Moschrip, the next morning, I'm teaching class first period there at Martinsville High School, and Luke Moschrip came into my classroom and said, Coach, and told me what had happened there at Coach's house. And I, and then, it's one of those things. And after a while, you start thinking back. You go, okay, when was the last time I talked to him? I thought, oh, wait a minute. What made me turn around and go into that office and talk to him? It just,
Yeah, and just stop and go back like you said you were already passed.
Brian's talking about more being fired up for a game as senior. That's what I'm talking about. And Coach, what are you talking about? They walked across that parking lot to the field with like fire in their eyes as a big horde of croup. Just, and we weren't going to be beat. Nope.
Isn't that the best feeling when you get everybody on the same page and everybody's pulling on the same rope? You know what I mean?
That's it.
The worst thing you can have is infighting and
me guys.
Yeah, and I always think it's hard. How do you get your pitchers to get along? I mean, I always think that's the start of it is where one pitcher gets jealous of another one and he's getting more innings or he's you know what I mean? Like, how do you?
I've got a couple of good ones right now, thankfully, and it's. You try to treat it, and I tell you what, who started this stuff is the old Atlanta Braves staff with those guys, with the Maddox, Smoltz, and Avery, and all those guys. It's a competition. They try to, competitive wise, one up each other. Like, okay, hey, good deal.
Yeah. You
wait to see me tomorrow. I'm gonna do one better than you, buddy.
Yeah.
Where it's not, and it's for the good of the team for winning. It's not, because I'm gonna make more money or my name's gonna be in the paper more, or just like, it made it fun competition wise, and that's getting to feed off of that. And, we talk about that a lot. That's what's the funny thing about any sports or baseball is sometimes getting those guys on the bench to root for those guys playing, because sometimes those guys on the bench, they want to play.
Yeah.
And they want Johnny to mess up out there so they can get a play.
Yeah, they're actively rooting against them, hoping that they fail. Yeah. And you're not gonna win that way.
Getting away from that. I tell you, we see that a lot is in college when you don't have guys that you've grown up with playing Little League, so you root for them anyway. you're in that that competitive deal in college, I noticed it more. But
I think a lot of kids in college get the seniority thing. It's like where I'm older, so I should be the number one.
Yeah.
But then a freshman comes in and is way better, and they don't know how to handle that, and
it
happens all the time.
All of them.
Yeah, and it is what it is. I mean, get better. You know what I mean?
How old you are.
Yeah.
Did you when you were at Manchester? Did you play Anderson University?
Yeah. And Coach Braden was Brandon. Right? Okay, I said Braden. Coach Brandon.
So I was blessed to have you and Ted,
and then
Coach Payne, and then I went to Anderson for a year and had Coach Brandon, who's
a Hall of Famer himself. Right.
Also, I still have contact with him today. I was only there 1 year.
What a class program!
But he still remembers things about me.
Oh
it's crazy.
Anderson baseball was the cream of that area.
That was the golden era during that time.
Yeah, you had Franklin and Manchester, all the schools the same size, but Anderson was. You knew that was great baseball there. You knew you were going to run into that. Yep.
So why is Mooresville always good and has? I mean, when we were in high school, they were good. They're still good now. Why they're? Yeah, I mean, I didn't. They're the same size as us. What's going on? Why are they so good still?
I don't know if it's part Little League. I don't know if they get. I mean, and now I don't know. I mean, are they getting some of those people moving? From the city over and. When a lot of times, we used to get them or something, probably all of the above. And it's crazy, too, just how much success breeds success, just like those 7 regionals in a row, and you get groups, and it's like, the next group comes through, and they're like, well, shoot, I don't want to be the one that ends the street or whatever you want to call it, to be over dramatic and all that. But no, Mooresville always has been that way. Back that was one of Coach Tutterow's biggest rivals was Coach Silver. The old Mooresville coach.
At Mooresville.
And again, first class Coach Tutterow, I never heard him say a bad word about him. That was just his rival, though, and they would compete. The same thing with the Coach Warner at Bloomington South. It was a good friend of his and a good rival.
Yeah.
Coach is always big, always well respected, and big with the Coaches Association, and you can only imagine how well respected he is.
I mean, how could you not love him? I mean, he's a great dude,
Right. Because they respected the fact you knew he was going to compete, and he wanted. That was the thing. He wasn't just a nice guy and a pushover. He wanted to beat you.
Yeah.
But then off the field and so forth, he was just a teacher and loved the game.
Yeah.
No matter who you were or where you were from, just loved baseball.
Well, and they probably respect things like loosen up and all, because he's coaching, he's thinking, he's outside the box, he's working.
And it wasn't, he always used to talk. He always used to hate it when that play would be called, Bush League and all that and stuff. It's you're just ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Here was this deal. He'd say, no, Bush League's getting caught by it.
Yeah. That's the thing.
No coaches knew.
Right. Yeah. He said, ain't Bush League to do it. Bush League is getting snookered by it. Caught by it.
Right. It would work. And you're like,
no one ever called it Bush League that didn't get caught on. It was only Bush League when you got caught, right?
Too funny.
So
very true.
So and so I think like you said, the winning breeds winning breeds success.
No doubt.
And I also think
the whole school.
Losing does the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like you get that loser's mentality of, well, I'm just happy I got to play today. We got our brains beat in, but I'm happy to play today, and I got my innings in, And I think that's really difficult to break, that loser's mentality,
Right. There's no doubt. And I tell you what's interesting there. I was thinking about this, and it's very true, and it may be tough. Sometimes you'll hear things like you're talking about. It kept going. Here's the deal. It's like, being a service coach, like servant leadership and all that is the big thing now. And Coach Tutterow was that without even knowing he was, or tooting his horn to be that. He was there for others. He wasn't, because it wasn't about Coach Tutterow, was it?
No.
Yep. And it's funny nowadays to hear comments like, and this may be wrong, but hey, good game, we tried hard, but hey, we're creating, and you want to create good young men and husbands and fathers for sure, but and that's beside the point. But it's almost like, a lot of times that's said by teams that are losing a lot, though. Like, winning isn't important, it doesn't really matter. Well, who's saying that? Teams that aren't winning. Teams that aren't winning. That may sound like, well, geez, what a, whatever. No, that's just. It's just the truth. You know, that's sometimes the people are saying that are the ones, you know, they aren't winning. Like
you play to win the game.
You play to win the game.
Right. And I don't think you have to apologize for you. So that
I don't either.
I mean, you know.
My thing, the whole world is competitive. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you go for a job application, people aren't going to ask you what your batting average was your junior year. But they want to know if you can compete, if you can handle pressure, if you can handle conflict. And sports is all about conflict. I'm trying to get you out. I'm trying to beat you. I'm trying to be better than you. And I think it carries over into the real world, into the real life. And I think
every one of those Hall of Fame coaches you had in here, what was the one thing they loved?
Eric Moore. We had Eric Moore.
Center Grove. Yeah.
He said, I've never been beat on my home basketball court in my driveway. I've never been beat, and it's like it didn't mean anything. But he was proud to say I've never been beat because
that's classic.
Yeah, and we all caught it. We said, "Did you hear how competitive that guy was?"
Right,
like you know. And I agree with you. I don't think you need to apologize for winning or for being competitive
or for wanting to. Or
I think you get people now that are soft and just don't know how to handle conflict and don't know how to handle. I mean.
That's what I was trying to say when you said it. Thank you. Yeah. And soft's probably the best word to apply to it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. Several coaches have admitted to me at the Coaches Association meetings that they have spent hours a week of Martinsville game practicing against trick plays and not practicing to get better.
Oh no, and Coach loved that. Yeah, and Coach loved that, and he mentioned that. Oh no doubt about it.
Let's let them waste their time on this, and not focus on this.
Well, and that brings up a great Coach Tutterow point that he would always make too. And it applied in football, and it applies in baseball. If you want to be good at something, then you better practice it. Now that sounds like absolute flipping common sense. But in football, like when Coach Cyrus is here, you know, when we started to be able to throw the football around the place, much of our practice was dedicated to that. Mm-hmm. Now you think about Martinsville, Corey. How did we start every practice? Maybe if not base running, but where were we at?
I was going to say base running.
Base running, but then we're out in the cages, right?
Out in the cages.
Hitting. And I've been lucky enough to do that with all my teams and had good hitting teams too, because, you know, teams spend a lot of time, you know, turning double plays, and it's a big part of baseball. But if you can count, sometimes it's under 10 how many double plays you turn a year, if that.
Yeah.
And if you're spending, we spent a half an hour today on double plays. Well, how about just spending, you know, an hour on hitting line drives?
Yeah.
You know, and he was always great about that. If you want to be good at something, practice it. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a good hitting team, don't just spend 20 minutes on it. Hit in the cages, then hit on the field. You know, get your swings and off the tire, everything. You know.
You play golf?
I do not.
Okay, so a lot of people that I had a guy tell me one time. So I worked with a guy. He was my boss, and he was trying to make the senior PGA Tour. He was that good.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't make it, but he was good enough that he went to Q school twice and came within a whisker of making the senior PGA Tour. But we would talk golf all the time, and, you know, I'm not very good. And so he would say, what do you do best? And I said, well, I'm a pretty good putter.
Right.
And he said, so what do you work on the most?
Right.
And I said, putting because it's fun. Because and he said, well, that's why you know what I mean. He said, when you go to the range, you need to work on the stuff that you're not good at to get better. But people don't like that feeling of not being. So if it
coach would say the same thing. Yep, you're
it
always
stuck.
Right.
It was people like to practice what they're good at, because they're good at it. It makes them feel good. They don't practice.
Get that confidence.
What you're bad at.
Yep, and coach would say that too. Yep, no doubt about it. Too funny.
So go through like 93. The seven. So you always went to Jasper, or you went to Jasper or Evansville?
It was either Jasper or Evansville. What was that big stadium? Bossy Stadium, Bossy Field. Yeah.
Which is where they filmed the League of Their Own.
Right, part of it.
Yeah, I went. I think in 2000 with my brother and my brother-in-law, my future brother-in-law. Well, I guess we were brother-in-laws there. Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Luke.
Yep.
And so
Sadler and.
Yeah.
Sadler led the state, I think, in
home runs
that year.
Last time I talked to Joe, I literally think he was on a beach on the Riviera. I literally think he was. And got a couple clothing lines going, and just the big time, you know. I said, "Where are you at?" "Oh, I'm in the Riviera. You know, on the beach." "All right, buddy." Yeah,
that's funny.
Oh yeah, again, left-handed sweet swing.
Oh man.
Where I'm at now, Lawrence Central, I can still see the balls Joe was hitting into those buses there. Into the parking lot, into right field, and that's just the thing. And you talk about in that era. And I was just thinking about all the players. I mean, you know, we had tremendous catchers. You know, Alex Angel, Kyle Stout. Just the talent. It was just a great mixture of everything. You know, Coach Tutterow and just the program building up the Legion and all that, and hey, let's just be honest, the talent.
Yeah.
You know, the players that came through, and just there's not enough credit's given. I mean, you know, because maybe they're not. I hate to say it, because maybe, and I love Jerry Seasting, and you know, because maybe they weren't Jerry, or they weren't, you know, I don't know, Earl. I love Earl. You know, just tremendous players.
My thing, like with Sharon Most, she's won 10 or 11 state championships. My thing is, you can't just it can't just be good players coming for 10 years.
Right. I mean, it's the whole.
It's the whole thing, and that's like you didn't just have a 7-year streak of good players. Now you have to have players. Don't get me wrong. I agree with that. But I think I mean, a lot of coaches have gotten beat with good players. You know what I mean? So I think it's the whole thing.
Yeah. And you're mentioning Coach Most. I was thinking about that driving here. You were just thinking back the memories and everything, and literally no joke. And Coach Tutterow would say it. You know, we'd laugh. We were just trying to keep up with the
team before.
With Coach Carol Burns in the volleyball.
Yeah.
Coach Most in the golf. And you know, eventually Coach Connor with the basketball, and then Coach Wolf and Coach Sider was in the full. You're just, because it was the whole culture of the community and the high school and the sports program. You know, it was, hey, we're gonna promote greatness and win, and the community would go crazy. And
if my mom's still on here, she'll know. Yeah,
she's the perfect example.
She'll know the years, but there was a year where the girls won the girls golf.
Yeah.
They won volleyball and they won basketball all in the same year.
Right.
And then it was like.
Probably 90.
Well, see, that was right around when we were number one in baseball too. Yeah.
Well, basketball won 95, 96, or.
And
Earl Hannaford was Mr. Football.
Oh yeah.
And then it was crazy.
And then Izzy was Mr. Football the next year.
Izzy Thompson went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was 95 or 96.
Yeah, mid 90s somewhere.
Yeah, when like they overlapped, like. Yeah, so I mean, it's just it's crazy and then if you think about football here. The coaches that Vince Burpo came out of here and is in the Football Hall of Fame.
I was thinking about Vince when you were talking about David.
Yeah. And then
Vince was a tremendous baseball player, first baseman.
Big first baseman, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. So was it Rick Malone was the coach at
Fountain Central?
Yeah. Which is where David was, which was from Martinsville.
Yep.
So I mean, you talk about the coaches that have come out of here, man.
Tree,
it's crazy, and
no doubt about it.
98 maybe.
Yeah.
Those years, mid 90s.
Yeah, and I know that they're like I think the girls won basketball one year, and then the girls won basketball and volleyball the next year, and then the volleyball won. So it was like they won it by themselves, then they overlapped, and then they won by. So there was like a 3-year period, and then of course the golf was winning everything. I think golf won 91 to 99. I don't think they won 90, and I don't think they won 99, but they won everything in the middle, and that's crazy, you know.
And when I think of Coach Most, I think of Coach Tutterow too. They're just their intellect, just how smart, you know, and great teachers they are. They were, you know, and brought that into play.
I've got a line on Coach Most. I got somebody that's gonna talk to her either this morning or tonight.
Yeah, that'd be
put
great.
A good. I'd love to have her in here and talk to her. So hopefully she can. I think her mother. Okay. I think she takes care of her mother right now.
And Coach Connor went through that too.
Yeah. So.
Right. Yep.
Hoskins, Eric says, I think it was my brother's senior year.
Shane's,
Yeah. So.
Natalie Roden.
Yeah.
She was on
all
the basketball and the volleyball.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then. Who was the point guard for the basketball team? Kristen Bodine. She played golf too, right?
Yes, she did.
So she would have been on golf and basketball, and then you had the girl that played golf at Duke, Leanne Harden. I think she played.
Biggest hands you ever seen on a girl?
Really?
Doc Harden's daughter. Yep.
Yeah.
Great, huge hands. I think she could palm a basketball.
Really?
And she was a good basketball player.
She played golf at Duke. Yeah.
She could palm a basketball. Doc Harden's daughter. Yep. Yeah. So you just. The athletes coming through Martinsville and just how it just kind of steamrolled. And, the pride and community and
I mean, if you woulda, shoulda, coulda, if you could add Steve Alford to that, I mean, my God, you know what I mean?
Well, and you know what? Hey, here's something too that just pops in my head. You think about, like we said, some of the multiple sport athletes, you know, that maybe you don't see nowadays because kids are just concentrating on one thing and maybe burning themselves out.
Bob played all three and is in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Bob is all-state in football. He's in the top 5 in scoring all time at the high school. You know what I mean? And then a great baseball player. You know, He's not very good at golf, though.
He can't. I just see Bob driving the ball. You know what I mean? Too funny. He's probably mad somewhere now hearing that.
I actually owe him $6 from the. But
is that all? That ain't bad.
Yeah.
There's $6. That ain't bad.
He owed me $4 for a long time, and I kept giving him crap about it. And his wife said, "Do you want the $4?" And I said, "Oh no.
That's part of the deal.
Yeah, I don't want the money. I just want to be able to hang it over his head." But so now the roles are reversed. The last time we played in October, I missed about a 10-foot putt that would have tied it, and we would have washed. But I missed, so now I owe him $6, and he won't let me on. He won't let it go. So
Too funny.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
Too funny. Yeah, good call, Kim. Yeah.
That's my thing.
Of course, Kim. That's Rick's sister.
Yeah.
That's one of the. She had a daughter that played softball, and she was fast as can be. She was really good. Started in left field her all 4 years. Fast as can be, left-handed, little slapper. I mean, she's in the military now.
Oh wow!
Yes,
okay,
so,
Rick.
Her son was just in there.
Yeah, and her son Ben.
Oh,
that's Monrovia. That's right. I followed that on Facebook. Yeah,
he is undefeated all 4 years in a regular season. That's Dan Gable. He got to the state championship 3 of his 4 years. Didn't win the state championship, but went deep every year. But had an undefeated regular season. He only lost in the tournament. Yeah. So I mean, he's just incredible. Yeah.
Fear of the mullet.
Yeah. So he had a big old mullet. Yeah.
Nice.
Playing baseball this year too.
Nice.
First time
since he was probably middle school. I think.
7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Well, fun.
And he's pitching. Yeah. So. Wouldn't it be nice to be that athletic just to go, I'm going to go play baseball and pick it up? And,
give it a whirl.
I work with a guy that his son had grown up playing basketball. Comes to him in 8th grade and said, I don't want to play basketball anymore. I want to play baseball. And his dad said, I don't know anything about baseball. He's like, but I'll go get you the stuff. He comes to me a couple weeks later. I said, hey, how's baseball going with your son? He goes, they got him at shortstop. I said, what?
And just walked right in.
Yeah. And I said, center field and shortstop are usually your 2 best players. And he goes, I don't know, man. He goes, but they got him at shortstop. Yeah. And I said,
he's fielding between his legs.
Yeah. And so he ended up getting a scholarship to a place just east of Cincinnati, Mount St. Joseph.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he's playing over there. He's a freshman over there. And it's like, man, it's funny how
athletes.
Yeah. He just said, I'm going to play baseball.
I tell you what's nice about the game of baseball too is, it used to be kind of specific, but now more athletes are playing, and just being athletes, and kind of we were talking about earlier, trying to control them less and be less robotic and just let them be athletes and play, and better for the game,
Bob and I coached basketball together. His daughter and my daughter and Mindy Quakenbush's daughter are all the same age, and we coached them. And that's one of the things I regret is that we called nearly every play. Every time they would come down, we'd have a set. We'd call it,
and that was effective, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it was. And my plan was, as they got older and understood, to let it free flow. Right. And it never got to that. And that's one of the things I regret. I wish we would have just said, play, figure it out, pick and roll, work off of that, and we just never got to there. Right. But yeah, I like having athletes. I think you can take an athlete and make him a baseball player, or you can take an athlete and make him a basketball player, but you can't take you got to have some dudes, you got to have some cats. So
no question.
So
no question.
So the best team you ever been around was 93, 94, 95, those guys.
Yeah, well, and of course in one name too. I mean, and I surely don't want to forget anybody, but of course, with Costa, those guys. I mean, Jason Wright obviously was a freak.
Yeah, Jason Wright.
And again, you talk about families, you talk about athletes. I can remember
his sister.
We would walk through that gym, going to the football office, and and cover our heads for our life, so Heather Wright didn't hit us with a missile inside the head.
Yeah.
But usually they didn't go this way though; they went this way, went straight down. Yeah. So usually we were all right. But Jason, wow! I mean, just throw it through a wall. He actually. I had a great deal there. He invited me down. I went to the first game at Tampa Bay Devil Rays Stadium with him because he was with the Devil Rays in the minors. The Yankees drafted him, and he got hurt. Then the Devil Rays picked him up and paid for his surgery, and he was there for a while and invited me down and got to see him. And we went to the first game at Tropicana together. And
nice,
just tremendous athlete. And then what? He's then he goes to Indiana Central or University of Indianapolis and plays basketball.
Yeah,
and is a stud. And And I'm sure to the day I've heard like doing a lot of stuff with fitness and different things like that.
Yep.
Because he was a guy, would walk through the hallway. He'd have a little brown paper bag lunch, and bring his own peanut butter sandwich and something. And every day he wasn't messing around with that stuff in the cafeteria. He was just different.
He's
Yeah,
like
he's just
that.
different. Yeah,
He's
that's probably good.
freak
Oh, I can
today.
only imagine.
He's huge.
I can only imagine.
But even when he played ball, I mean,
Yeah.
talk about another tall,
Yeah.
6'4", 6'5" dude on the mound, and
Yep.
And another kind of Coach Tutterow guy too, because and just quiet. Wouldn't
he's still
doesn't
quiet.
say too much. But
I
that's,
see him at the gym. He's like, "Hey, Corey."
yeah. Right. And that's big. Yeah.
One word.
Yeah. He's not rude.
No,
That's just
the
him.
way he is,
Yeah.
My grandma always had a poster out front of Heather Wright when she was at Florida, and she was like on the poster of the season. It had the schedule and everything, and she was the picture on it, and she had her elbow above the net, getting ready to hammer one down, and that hung in my grandma's house for a long time. But
Yep.
Athletic family for sure.
Yep.
so the game I always remember that I always hear people talk. BJ Bennett, I always hear him talking about it,
I
and
got a good BJ story.
there's probably a lot.
Well, yeah, no, God love him. No,
But they said they played against Scott Rowland, and he hit one. Like, was that when they were number one in the state?
yeah.
In
And what people don't remember people forget about Scott Rowland. He could have went to Georgia and played basketball. Again, we're talking about athletes.
So that's where I was going to go with this.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
Again, yeah. The funny thing about all that too is the coach at Jasper is a great friend of mine, and it probably shouldn't be as much as he's beating us. But
That's funny.
He's a great guy, Terry Goldberg, Coach Goldberg, and actually that whatever when we did get a state championship at Norwell, that's who we beat, and Coach Tutterow was there.
Jasper,
Yeah,
you beat
we
Jasper.
beat Jasper,
Wow.
and his son's senior year.
Yikes.
And his wife is actually the one that gives him a hard time about that. So he in turn gives me a hard time about it. We're real good. Yeah. But Coach Tutterow was there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I gave him my medal. Was able to give him my medal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And Coach Gilbert, respectfully enough, wanted to make sure he got a chance to speak to him out of respect, and that's just the kind of guys they are. Roland was just.
Well,
Again, another one of those freaks, just
that was going to be my point.
Yeah.
Was he played pro baseball, but he scored 55 points in a regional championship basketball game. I mean, that tells you.
I think it was Georgia had a scholarship at Georgia.
To Georgia to play basketball. Yeah, but I mean, and
I never knew that about him.
yeah, he played with Michael Lewis when Michael Lewis was there, and so those guys together were good, in basketball. But yeah, I was going through. I forget what I was looking up something, and it said. I was looking up stats on something, and I was going through, and it said most points scored in a regional game, and it said Scott Rowland, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, this is about yeah." And so then I looked at it, and I was like, "That can't be right." And then it said Scott Rowland, Jasper. I was like, "Well, that's Scott Rowland." And I rolled back, and I was like, "Yeah." And so then I looked, he scored 55 points in a regional championship basketball game. Yeah,
and a fantastic guy. Coach Gilbert lost a daughter who was at the time the same age as Mackenzie. And to some childhood cancer, and Scott just took over and donated a bunch of money, took care of the family, and they've got a big hitting facility now down there at the field, and it's Sarah was her name, and named it after her, and just stuff like that. And of course, and he didn't have to have ESPN there to do it, or or have it on Twitter. He just did it, respect to the family and all that. And,
now he lives in Bloomington now, right?
yeah, he's like the IU baseball director of operations.
Yeah, that's a good gig.
And they're fired up about that.
Their
And
clubhouse is the Scott Rowland.
Yeah.
Or something now.
Their coach Jeff Mercer, his dad was a big Coach Tutterow rival. Jeff Mercer as well was the head coach at Southport for a long time.
Okay.
Ended up writing a hitting book with Dusty Baker.
Really?
I didn't know that.
But yeah, he was at Southport, and that's of course his son there at IU. And I'm a Purdue guy now. I used to be an IU guy, but I'm a Purdue guy now. And Coach Mercer at IU has got me looking at being an IU baseball fan at least again.
Why are you a Purdue guy?
Well, I was
Did you
a
have to
Coach
write
Knight.
some checks there?
I was a big Coach Knight. I was a big Coach Knight fan.
Yeah.
And huge Coach Knight fan, and cried like a baby when he went back to Assembly Hall there, and stayed away from the gym for a long time. Big Coach Izzo fan of Michigan State. I got to see him play Michigan State a year ago. First time I was in the gym for about 15 years. But my dad, we have season football and basketball tickets, and my sister went to school there when Drew Brees was playing, and it's good family time. I get to hang out with him on Saturdays at IU, at Purdue football games, and watch some good Big Ten basketball. So Well, and they're kind of that gritty, hard-nosed group that maybe IU used to be back in the day, and now that's Purdue has kind of those kind of players that I like, and so I kind of changed allegiances there.
That was always my thing with Coach Siderwitz is he always it was always us against the world.
Right.
You know, they all hate us, they don't like us. You know what I mean? And I love that about and IU used to, like you said, to be great.
Right.
They're soft as can be.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. They've turned into that soft.
The prima donna. And I was watching a game this season, and they were down late in the game, and they were fouling, trying to stop the clock.
Right.
So this guy fouls a kid. They call a foul. He turns around and goes, "What?"
Right.
And I told my wife, I said, "It's instinctive.
Right.
They have to bitch about every foul call. It's just instinctive. Like, you're trying to foul. They called a foul, and then you complain.
I won't mention any names, but they got one kid that when he dunks, all he cares about celebrating instead of we're down by 18, but I'm celebrating or getting back and playing. Even all he wants to do is celebrate and mean mug you when he dunks.
Yeah, it's like, congratulations, that dunk brought you to within 16.
Right.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Brian says Scott Rowland was awesome in high school. We were in the same class.
Yeah, Bryant played in the All-Star game that year. I can't remember if it was in Jasper or if it was. I can't remember where it was that year. Bryant, you'll have to remind me, or if that was Richmond that year. And Scott didn't play because I think he ended up leaving for the draft. I think there was a kid named Kelsey Mucker. Maybe he was in that group. Bryant too. That was a tremendous athlete. I think played some football too.
Wasn't he drafted by or recruited by IU?
Yeah.
Mucker.
Yeah, Kelsey Mucker. Yeah.
Didn't the Cubs draft him?
I think so. Yeah.
And then he
tremendous athlete.
Yeah.
And I think he was in Bryant's class too. Richmond that year. Okay. At McBride Stadium. Then was the name of it.
Coach Allen.
Yep.
Football.
Yeah.
Oh.
IU football.
Well, you know what? You're right, Bryant. And of course, obviously, old Ben Davis coach.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy. That's the conference where I'm at now, Lawrence Central. It's nuts.
So it turns out
Carmel and Ben Davis, North Central, Warren, Pike.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's just.
I can't imagine
football's unreal.
There's a better. I mean, probably in Florida somewhere, and probably in Texas. But that MIC conference in football, I can't imagine there's very many.
I get a pretty good seat. I'm in charge of the referees. I'm right there on the sidelines.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Probably the premier baseball conference in the state has like Fishers and Hamilton Southeastern, all those guys. Westfield, it's that conference. There's probably the premier baseball one. But anyway.
Oh hush, Hoskins.
Eric must be living in Center Grove.
Yeah, he does.
All right, Eric. All right.
Always gotta rub that in.
I can just see that grin on his face. You know, and that's funny. We were talking about earlier when I was thinking of Coach Tutterow and
he's probably sitting in his Cowboys jersey too.
Stone face and everything. And again, and thinking back on all these players and stuff, that's one thing I do. Coach Tutterow obviously made it fun. Like you talk about all the plays and everything too. But I just think just the smiles on everybody's faces, just the experience that they had. You know, it's cliche, but it's so true. You know, I just think of the guys when they got that big grin on their face, and again, let's be honest, what makes you happy and what's fun? Winning.
Yes.
Winning.
I always say winning is the great deodorant. You can have all kinds of problems behind the scenes, but as long as you're winning, everyone's happy.
It cures all ills.
It cures all ills. Yep.
Same thing.
Yep. So Brian said he played. Kelsey did too.
I didn't realize Scott played in it. Okay, there we go. Yep. for their at bats.
So you remember David Bennett?
Oh God, that was a good time. Luke talking about going to Wrigley with Kyle. That's right. That was a good time, brother.
I'll tell you one of my favorite Wrigley Field stories. We went probably 3 or 4 years ago, and Cubs are getting. No, it was before they won the World Series. Right. So it was been 6 or 7 years ago, and 7th inning stretch. This guy sitting down. It was before they were sold out every game, you know, so you could still spread out.
Right.
So it was probably 10 years ago, but there was a guy sitting 8 or 10 seats down from me. Plays 7th inning stretch, and he gets up and he's got his phone and he's recording the whole stadium and everything, and he's watching. And after the song was over, I kind of yelled down to him and said, "It's pretty cool, isn't it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm from Venezuela, and this is my first time there." And I was like, "What?" Yeah. So I went down and sat next to him. I left my wife right there by herself, and I went down and started talking to this guy. And he said, here on a trip, and he was in Cleveland, I think. He was somewhere in Ohio, and he was that close to Chicago, so he drove.
Make sure he did, yeah.
Yeah, and he was videotaping everything, and I told him, I said, man, this place is pretty special, isn't it?
Baseball, no doubt.
And he was taking pictures, and he said, it's like, and he had a program, and he had a hat. I mean, he had his ticket, and he bought a little lanyard and put his ticket in it and everything. Yeah, and so I talked to him the whole rest of the game, and I asked him, and he said, well, we get WGN in Venezuela, and so he would watch that on TV and always wanted to go there.
You go, right.
Yeah, and so I thought it was really cool and I talked to him for forever.
My good Wrigley story, and it's funny being on here. Anybody that knows me, if I have to mention my daughter, I have to mention my dad, of course, but it's and if my daughter's listening, he's not a Martinsville guy, so I don't want to talk about him much, but Josh Van Meter, who played for me at Norwell, and he's was with the Reds last year. He's with the Diamondbacks now, and he and I are tremendously close. Great young man. Love him, his family. But I tell you, I went with his dad to the first game at Wrigley that Josh played for the Reds.
Cool.
And you got to understand that the family, Josh and the dad, grew up Cub fans.
Okay.
So if you can only imagine.
Yeah.
So, Josh is playing that day for the Reds, and I'm there sitting with his dad, and I just look over his dad. He just, just tears pouring down his face.
Sure.
You can only imagine, that being your favorite team, and then there's your son playing against them, in Wrigley. It's just unreal. And being, wait around afterwards and walk out of Wrigley Field with him, and pretty cool.
So we had Bud Wright in, and he's the head coach at
Sheridan. Yeah. Bobby helped him football, right?
Yeah. So they had Brett Law, who was crazy good.
IU.
Yeah. So I asked Bud, I said, when did you know that Brett was like, and he said, first time I saw him in third grade.
Right.
So third grade. He said, he goes, he was just different from everybody. He said he when he was in high school, he could dunk a basketball. He was, I don't know if he played baseball or not, but he said he just was different than everybody else. So the first time you saw Josh Van Meter,
same way.
He's just different.
Yeah, same way. And just and he's like the hardest worker, too, and the respect that the other players had for him, because when I first met him, he and I instantly connected. And I was talking to him quite a bit, and I finally went, hey, is this going to be all right? Are the other players going to be
jealous,
upset? And he said, no, they know.
They know.
And he's not. He's a supremely confident kid, no doubt about it. He's not arrogant or cocky or like a jerk, but he just so confident.
Yeah.
In that state championship game, I can remember in practice going around. It's a good story, and I had a kid who didn't even pitch in the state finals, who threw 2 no-hitters in a row.
Wow.
And you talk about having players, and had a season of striking out about 80-some kids and walked 3. Luke Hunter ended up pitching at Taylor. And then Jonah Patton, who played at Arkansas for a while, just had rockets coming out of his arm. But at the state finals, I'm before the game and the practice that week, I'm like, Josh started on the mound.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, Jonah, be ready for some long relief. And, Luke, hey, we may need you here. Or, hey, Jonah, you may close. Luke, be ready for some long relief. And, and I get to Josh's place in line where they're warming up. He's got a ball spinner on his finger. And he's like, I won't repeat it exactly. He said, what the F are you talking about?
I'm not coming out of this game.
What are you doing? I got you, buddy. I'm just, I'm trying to make everybody understand, what. Oh, you wasn't, yeah.
He wasn't coming out of that game, Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
Different, mentality, everything, and talent level, and just the swing. Just, like say, the way the ball sounds off his bat.
That's what I was going to ask.
All those physical things, and just his presence, Do you
remember the first time you saw him hit?
Yeah.
Let me preface that. Yeah. Did you know who he was before the first time you saw him hit?
What I did was when I got actually, when I was at Brebeuf, Norwell would come and play us.
Okay.
And actually, he always did well when I was at Brebeuf against me. So I knew him then.
You knew who he was.
Which is kind of funny and odd. But then when I got the job, I went to go see him play over in Avon. They were playing a travel team, and I went to go see him, and several of the kids were on the team were on this team. Went to go see him play, and I think the first at bat was a triple into right center, and just the ball, and I tell you what I did with him was a Coach Tutterow thing too, as far as I hit him lead off. Everybody talks 3-hole and clean up maybe or something.
Get your best player to most ABs.
Yep, and I tell you, it was funny. The professional scouts loved it because they got to see him more at bats or see him early and so forth. And Coach Gobert, I tell you, they couldn't pitch around him. we beat Jasper 2-1. They walked him twice. We bunted it to second. Drove him home with a single. Did it twice. And 2-1 state championship victory. So
sometimes it's not that hard. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, right? It's like let's get my best player the most at bats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how you, the first time? So you had seen him play against you. So
yes,
that
right.
Kind of.
Right.
I was kind of wanting to go with like just him being different, but you said you could just tell like he was just It's interesting. I mean, it makes me laugh of like what Bud said.
Yeah, right.
He said third grade, and he kind of chuckled like he was just different. And so hand-eye coordination, speed, just everything is just elevated.
Yeah, and strong and the whole nine. Fast. I mean,
And I looked him up today. He's not just on the Diamondbacks. I mean, he's playing.
Yeah,
like he's not just.
I got the game taping tonight, so I can go back and watch, and it's pretty cool. I'm just really his mom's dad. They're great. I'm definitely a fan now, and just supporter and friend.
Yeah.
And it's so I'll congratulate him on certain things, but it's funny. He's a big LeBron James guy, and so a lot of times I'll just talk to him about, hey, how about the Lakers still beating the Nets when they didn't even have, LeBron and AD, or, and I think he appreciates that a little bit because everybody kind of baseballs him to death and gives him a little break or something, to talk about anything but baseball sometimes. It sounds weird, but it's just, Yeah,
I would imagine he gets leg hunched a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's been a lot of fun. I get to see him play down in Pensacola, Florida. I mean, left field is the ocean.
Nice.
Went out to Lake Elsinore, California to see him play.
Yeah.
It was crazy. He played for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, which
is what, 50 miles from.
Yeah, if you can think about the pressure, it's even closer to that to where he grew up.
Okay.
He's kind of like maybe Jack Doyle with the Colts now. Being a cathedral kid or something. Yeah. But if you can, imagine being a pro athlete in the town that you grew up in. It's harder than you realize. It took a lot out of him. And
then he was with the Reds originally, right? So that that's not really hometown, but plenty of people can come over and see him. Yeah,
right. The whole Scott Rowlands went through that too and everything. But
I
can't go without mentioning him. I know he's not a Martinsville guy.
But still,
it's a neat story. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
And so I do want to talk about that. So that year at Norwell, your first year. There, you guys go 33 and 3.
It's pretty fun, yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
Pretty fun, yeah.
So, and you said you had 3 the high-level pitchers?
Yeah, of course. And again, like you said, pitching, that's it.
Yeah. And, I mean, so like when we talk to the football coaches, I always say, can you boil football down to the line of scrimmage? If you win the line of scrimmage, you're going to win the game. Right. And interestingly enough, like Bud Wright said yes, but Coach Gillen said no, it's more than that. And I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
What did Coach Gillen say?
He said it was more about your cats. Like you got to have dudes. You know what I mean?
Guys
yeah, stuff, right? And I get that or whatever, but he said you definitely have to win a line of scrimmage, but he said it's not as simple as that. There's more stuff that goes into it.
And I would venture to say, I don't know if you asked Coach Tutterow that question, but I would venture to say with the Coach Tutterow influence in football, and as much as I know about Coach Gillen too, and how they'd like to do things and be ahead of things, they would say I think Coach Tutterow would probably say something similar to what Coach Gillen said.
Yeah.
But
but in baseball, I mean, it's baseball and softball. I mean, it's all about the pitching, right?
Pitching,
I mean,
no doubt.
Yeah.
That year before Norwell, it's just a good story. I was at Brebeuf, which is a good school, and I had a pitcher who went to Notre Dame, and the cool thing about him is his brother was his catcher. So about halfway through the season, and again we're talking about families and stuff. About halfway through the season, I could see, hey, we could do something here, especially when you got a kid that's going to Notre Dame.
Yeah, you're at Brebeuf at this point, right?
Okay. Point. And I'm thinking, so I finally got the two of them together. I said, hey, let's just think about it this way. Sometime this year, you're going to play your last, because the kid that went to Notre Dame was a senior, and the brother was just a sophomore.
Okay.
One day in here, it's going to be the last baseball game you're ever going to play together, boys. So how about let's just play the damn thing at Victory Field? What do you think? All right, yeah, sure, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
And sure enough, made a nice run, and but yeah, again, without a kid throwing at 90 from Notre Dame,
you're not getting there.
You're not getting there.
And then, who'd you get beat by?
Well, that's funny. Western, which is over by Kokomo.
Okay.
So the fun thing about that was we got to play them in the semi-state when I was at Norwell and beat them. and kind of a little payback. So that ended up being a good deal.
The following season.
Following season there, yeah. So
is it? Am I right to say that you're the only coach that has taken different teams in back-to-back years to the state championship?
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Well, I got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time a couple of times, and I really enjoyed my time at Brebeuf. And I got the Norwell job. That guy Eric Morgan was the AD. He and I played baseball at Manchester together.
Okay.
And they had a long-time coach that had been there and got into administration, and they knew me and so forth. And again, because Norwell would come down and play in my tournament at Brebeuf, our tournament at Brebeuf, and it was interesting. It was kind of just the right mix too. I was teaching in IPS at the time and just coaching at Brebeuf. I was teaching at Brebeuf.
Okay.
And IPS is going through all kind of trouble with schools, shutting down schools and moving people around and all that. And I would have probably taught at Brebeuf or tried to, but it's funny. Their teachers are on a different level. Their teachers are like Division I coaches. All the coaches were hired hands. We didn't teach in the building. All the coaches.
Really?
Yeah. So not going to teach. Well, and they just cut like about 7 teachers there. So they couldn't get the baseball coach to come in and teach after they just cut seven really
teachers.
Good teachers.
Yeah, they couldn't do that. Yeah.
So it worked out to going up there and getting a great situation.
So let's talk about the pitchers. You believe in ice for the pitchers?
I tell you what. Yes. It's funny with all that stuff. It's on an individual kid, and some of it's mental. And I tell you what, everything's become so specialized too. Just like even weights, like at Lawrence Central, I'm in the weight room with those guys, but I don't have to set up the program and tell them what to do. We got a weight coach that does it. I don't know, maybe that most places do, not all places do. We didn't have that at Norwell. And we've got 2 or 3 trainers there at Lawrence Central. Nowadays, it's it's easier on a coach. It used to be a coach had to do everything, and you had to be an expert at everything, so to speak. Whereas now, if you use if you got good people or whatever, you can kind of, hey, okay, I can worry about this and this, and I can trust this person and know, hey, they know the right thing with icing or not, and so forth, and all those things.
So, what do you guys do? You do after every practice, after every throwing session, they ice for half hour, 20 minutes?
Right, and they've got the bands, the whole thing. And I've got, and I tell you, there's the other thing too, and you guys I'm sure have noticed it with your kids and stuff is, and everything's so specialized. And again, I think of Coach Tutterow. Guys have got pitching coaches that they go to on the side,
yeah.
But now the big thing is you well know it's like the weighted baseballs and the bands and the velo programs and so forth. And I've got 2 kids that have done that, and they've gotten off to a great start this season because of it. So it's like, again, it's not it's that whole definite adage of it's not about me. If that's what works for that kid and that's what his confidence is and that's what he's doing, then where should my ego say, no, you're going to do what I say, this program or these, this. It's so specialized. They got guys that
Because I've heard a lot of programs are going away from ice, and it just blew my mind. Like,
Right.
what do you mean? Like, you're going to throw 100 pitches and then not ice? And the theory is, I guess, is that it actually slows down the recovery. Yeah, stunts the recovery
a little bit. Yeah,
but I feel like if they're paying a guy $10 million a year and he's icing after every session, then the high school kid, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe the kid in college or high school, maybe you should do it too. I don't know. It just blew my mind the first time I heard that they don't really believe in that. And I know some schools, like the trainers, don't even bring ice because they and I wanted to get your thought on it.
We still do.
Yeah, ask the doctor when he comes in next time.
Yeah. Ask him when
Dr. Applegate.
Yeah. And
he's a muscle and skeleton doctor. So.
Yeah, see what he says.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know that answer.
Right. Yeah. It's maybe in some moderation or something. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's that old school, new school approach. And I don't know. Sometimes I think we can outthink ourselves, or there's so much people have so much time on their hands, or they want to have they want to be, on Twitter and put out some video or some advice or something, and
yeah. I always think it's funny now how people say stuff, but like now with Twitter and everything's verifiable, and all the camps that you go to and everything, and you'll hear people say, oh, my 12-year-old daughter throws a 62-mile-an-hour rise ball. It's like, no, she doesn't. Like, I've never even seen her. Yeah, I've never even seen her, but I can. Or my daughter throws a rise ball and she's 10. Well, no, she doesn't, because the ball doesn't spin enough to rise until you get to about 55, 56, 57. Right. So, no, she doesn't. And it cracks me up that people say that stuff, and I just always go, okay, and move on. I'm sure
talk can be cheap, especially who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Most other people that maybe don't know, I think, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'll tell you one of my favorite stories ever. We were at a softball tournament, and I had a short sleeve pullover on like this, and it said Notre Dame on it. I'm standing there watching the game. Yeah, and I'm standing there watching the game. This girl comes up to me. She goes, "Hey, Coach." And I kind of turn and look, and she goes, "I'd like to give you my bio." She hands me this laminated piece of paper. It has her name, her address, where she goes to high school. It has all of her stats. Nice. And I was like, what? Because I thought she was like doing some kind of fundraiser. She was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I thought she was going to give me some fun. So I'm looking at it real quick, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And then she's talking about, I play on game over here and on game field 2 at like 1 o'clock. And then I realized, I'm like, she thinks I'm a scout. Yeah. And I didn't have the heart to tell her to
okay, I'm just good luck.
So I was like, yeah, okay. So then she must have
carried it out.
Well, so I took it. No. Well, I take it and I put it in my pocket. And I was like, okay. So I thought, well, it's no big deal. Like she won't. Well, she must have went and told a couple of her other teammates, because two of her other teammates came over and gave me this. And so I told my wife, I said, I don't want to lead them on thinking they got some kind of chance to go to Notre Dame. So I went to the car and got a sweatshirt and took that thing off. And it was about 80 degrees, man. I was standing there in a sweatshirt. Yeah, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to
with the bold statement on.
Yeah.
Too funny. I wrote a note here real quick. My BJ Bennett story, like you said, there's probably 100 of them. But again, you talk about family again. I mean, even back, may not even ring a bell. Mark Bennett, the big redhead, back in the day. This, your mom will know Mark, and then Dave, of course. But BJ, catcher again, great catcher, hard nosed. My favorite thing, and I've still got the picture. I've got a picture of BJ climbing a fence to go after a foul ball. Then it was in the reporter, but he's literally climbing the fence to go after
trying
a foul
to reach
ball.
over.
Just that kind of effort,
So David played in the Indiana All-Star game in 78 or 79. David Bennett.
Okay.
And it was in Evansville.
Right, baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dwayne McFarland was in there too.
Yeah. And there was this cat from Evansville that played in that game. I think you pronounce his name.
Mattingly.
Yeah, I think you pronounce his name Mattingly.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I think we had a foul ball. If I remember, I may be wrong about this. My mom may be, but they hit a foul ball, and I went and chased it down because I was probably 7 or 8 years old at the time. And I got it, and she's like, keep that ball. It's Don. Yeah. So I didn't know who Don Mattingly was, Right. So I tucked it in my pocket. Well, when they came out, and they were like, give it up or whatever. So I had to throw the ball back in because they didn't have enough to go, Yeah.
Round will buy one.
Thing on him, he's in our high school baseball Hall of Fame too, of course. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, is it? Yeah. So I said that, and I assumed for a minute that he was in the Hall of Fame, but he's not.
Mattingly?
Not Mattingly, yeah. But he's in our Indiana High School Baseball Hall of Fame.
Sure.
But he came back, and we do it at our state clinic, and we have it on a Friday night, and inductees give a speech and stuff. But you talk about humble, when he could have big-timed us, the whole 9 yards. But you talk about gracious and humble and and I say that you think, well, yeah, sure, but not, we all know it. Not everybody's that way,
right?
He didn't big time us or anything. You just really thought, okay, there's a guy you root for, or you're glad he's
absolutely. Because I always hated the Yankees growing up because they always won, but I always
sounds like my dad.
But I always
he hates that they buy.
Yes, Bryant, going back to the icing, Bryant said,
whatever helps get it.
Reduce the inflammation. Getting rid of inflammation is a key. Different people respond differently to various treatments, so that's kind
of what I was saying. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Different for different kids. Whatever works for that individual kid. Yeah.
Yep. And talking about the Yankees, go ahead.
That's who I've got a good story on the Yankees, real quick. A kid I had at Rebuff, Bradley Haddad, one of my dad's favorite guys. Catcher. Went to. Now I always have to try to get my bearings straight on Kyle. Kyle went to Charleston Southern, right?
Okay.
Is that right?
I think so.
I always want to say College of Charleston, but I think it was Charleston Southern. I'm sorry, Kyle. I should know better, bud. and what a great family. His wife Jessica, what an athlete she was, swimmer. Anyway, but Radley went then to I think College of Charleston then for a while, and then ended up at Butler. But anyway, he was with the Yankees, and it was when Joe Girardi was the manager. He's still with them now, thank goodness. Great catcher, couldn't hit very well, so they're gonna release him. But they said, hey, we want you to stay on and be the bullpen catcher.
Okay.
And to the day, he's the bullpen catcher for the New York Yankees. I go up to see him in Chicago every year.
Nice.
So you think about it. He does say a small prayer before Chapman starts to get loose in the bullpen.
I bet.
So he's got a little control so he can handle it. But a great thing that Girardi did for him, they were, on their way up north, they'll stop in a southern place and play like one game. It was at the Braves Stadium. I think it was the first year they were playing in that new park.
Okay.
So they'll just like break it in and play one more exhibition game before the Yankees head north. Well, Radley said, Girardi went to him and said, hey, you got your spikes? And Radley's like, yeah. Well, make sure you got them. And he gave him an at-bat in that game.
Nice.
And it wasn't a major league game. It was in a major league park. In his last game, and then they ended up, releasing him, but then signing him immediately and became the bullpen catcher. But, just stuff like that in baseball. Again, Girardi didn't have to do that.
Sure.
Hey, you're a bullpen catcher. You're cut. See you later.
Get on down the road.
That bat, and
that's really cool.
Those class stories. But Radley loves it, and it was funny. I asked him one time in the stadium in Chicago. In Comiskey, I asked him what his favorite away park was, and it was funny. He literally looked around to make sure nobody was listening. He said Fenway. He's there. Yankees Fenway.
That's funny.
That Fenway is his favorite away ballpark. But you didn't want any of those other guys to hear
them say that. Do you know the David Bodie story? So you remember
that's the Cub guy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You remember he hit the walk-off grand slam?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Sunday Night Baseball. So
right.
So he'd been in the minor leagues for 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
And could never get up,
right.
and would get down. I think he was with the Rockies maybe, and he'd gotten traded around.
Right.
So he goes on a mission trip to Africa, and he's gone for like 3 weeks, no communication, no nothing. So they finally get back. They do their mission. They come back, and they check in with their parents. Right. He calls back to his parents. And they said, you've gotten traded to the Cubs.
Okay.
And so he's like, I'm kind of done with baseball. He said while he was out there on his 3-week mission, he would kind of said like 26, 27, right. Like I gave it a shot. It's time to move
Jerry
on.
Went through that. I know. Kohler went through that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he tells his wife, he said, look, I got traded to the Cubs, or the Cubs signed him or whatever.
Right.
But he said, I'm not going to go. And she said, why not? And he said, because I've been in the minor leagues for 7 or 8 years and it's not working out.
Right.
And I'm just going to quit. And she said, no, you're not.
Right.
You're going to go try out because you've been in the minor leagues for 7 or 8 years. You know what I mean?
Right. You didn't go through all this.
And she said, and he said, okay, fine. This is my last chance. If this doesn't work out, I'm done. And she said, fine. If this doesn't work out, then you can be done. She was like, but you spent all this time. You're not. So he goes to the Cubs. Goes through spring training, feels like he's going to make the team. Right. They put him on the team. They pull him up. He has a decent year. Yeah, he's bouncing back and forth. He would play up and then he would play down. Right. So then they bring him up the next year, but he's on just like a league minimum contract. Yeah. He's making whatever $350 or whatever, and they're living in Chicago or whatever. And I guess he's got 2 young kids, and so they had rented an apartment just a few blocks from Wrigley. Right. And she didn't go to that game that night because it was a Sunday night game.
Oh, okay, right. And the kids,
Yeah, so she's got the kids, and she puts them down, and it's like 11:30 at night, and he hits.
Right.
Do you know the game I'm talking about? Do you remember?
Crazy.
Yeah. So he hits a walk-off. Right. Grand slam.
Night,
They're down 3-0, and he hits a grand slam, and he's running around the bases like this. Right. And after the game is over, they're chanting Bodie, Bodie, and she could hear it from her balcony. And she said she just sat down on her balcony and just started bawling her eyes out because she knew like he had made it and he was going to be. And I pull for that dude every time. I mean,
Cubs will love him forever.
Absolutely, right. Thinking of that, right. So, that's the great thing about baseball. There was a similar story, I guess. I just learned it a couple of days ago with Freddie Freeman when he went through all that COVID stuff and he wasn't feeling well and they were on that short season and he told his wife, I may just sit out this year. And his wife said, no, you're not. And he ends up being the MVP. You know? Similar type of thing. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So and like even if like Schwarber, like Kevin
Why you gotta bring him up?
Yeah, Kevin.
That Kevin's guy.
He has a restraining order against Kevin. Kevin
Why you gotta bring Schwarber into this?
Kevin sits across the street with binoculars at Schwarber's house, but
I'm leaving.
but
That's IU guy.
yeah, I mean, and like even though he got traded, I mean, I'll still always root for him because he's a good dude. So
He killed St. Louis with one mighty swing of the bat.
Yeah.
Right. Put it up on top of the
scoreboard, yeah.
The ball's still there, isn't it?
Yeah,
And he tried to knock the wall down in Cleveland with a broken knee.
yeah. He had a line drive off the wall, and he bat 412 in the World Series after he had
His OBS was sure whatever they call it.
Right.
And he did get the single that got Alomar on base that Bryant ended up moving over. And ended up taking over. So
Cub fans, that's like the Bible, isn't it? They're going through those different things. I mean,
I'll tell you this: I couldn't afford to go to the World Series, but I did go to the parade, and it was one of the funnest things I've ever
you can
done.
only imagine. I mean, just all the history and all those people, all them.
I didn't want to fight the crowd. Like I told my wife, we're going to the parade. Well, I'll tell you this: after the Game 7, I went out in my backyard and shot off fireworks. I had fireworks to go.
I'm glad we thought of this. You guys are going to kick out of this. And somebody just asked me about this the other day, to revert back to Josh. You know, the phone call that Josh gave to me when he got called up was unreal.
Yeah.
But you'll never guess who told him that he was going up. You'll never guess in a million years. Not unless you really know your minor league manager.
Hold on, I think I know the. Go ahead.
You think you don't? He was one of my favorite players growing up. My dad, the first time he took me to Wrigley, this player was on the cover that day. He was a catcher, number 7. One of the main reasons I'm number 7 besides John Elway.
Jody Davis.
Jody Davis.
Yeah.
Jody Davis was Josh's minor league manager.
I did not know that story.
Who told him he was going up to the major league.
That's pretty cool.
And catchers in 7 was going through my mind. I was like, okay, there's only one.
I forgot you were 7. Yeah, but that's because of Jody Davis.
Jody Davis. Harry Carey singing
King of the home run ball.
I couldn't believe that was a guy that ended up telling me, talk about full circle, whatever.
That's
dramatic. But
that's a guy that hit 450 home runs in our mind.
Right. Oh yeah.
Realistically, he probably had about 108.
Right. He ended up being. I followed him so much. He ended up being on Bill Elliott's pit crew.
Jody Davis
for
was
NASCAR. Yeah. For a couple of years, he was Bill Elliott's tire changer. I'm not kidding.
So
for a while,
you follow. So you said you're an IU fan. Right. So when they beat Duke in the Sweet 16 in 2002, when
was that Dane Fife?
That was Dane Fife and that whole group or whatever.
Yep.
Bruce Benedict was one of the officials in that game, the catcher for the Braves, the old Braves catcher.
Yeah, number 20 for them. Yeah, I used to see him all the time. He reffed a lot of games at Butler at Hinkle Fieldhouse. I would see him
doing games. Yeah,
refereing games.
That's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, Bryant says Jody Davis. That's funny.
I mean, but the myth,
right? No, that's so true in our minds. You look it up. That's so true, Kevin. You're right.
You think Barry Bonds is a home run leader?
What's the whole thing? Everybody always says, steroids, they can't teach hand-eye coordination.
That's what Corey always says.
Right? You know,
I was a Sammy Sosa fan. Loved Sammy Sosa.
Yeah. They can't teach hand-eye coordination.
You still got to hit that little ball in a quarter of a second.
Right.
I don't care.
They can't teach hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
And the big thing I always heard about steroids too is just it's more the recovery. It's not necessarily the muscle add. It's just the recovery. And that's the thing. And again, don't get my daughter says she's like, okay, Dad, give Josh a rest. But talking about Josh, it's a grind. We think, it's unreal, the grind. Because even him in the minors, I'd go to see him play in these places in this tremendous heat, and he'd have to be there for a 7 o'clock game at like noon, and they would go through a huge workout because the scouting director was here. I've got pictures of him with Barry Larkin, Eric Davis. There's a funny story about Eric Davis. But with Barry Larkin, all those guys, and of course now if Barry Larkin's there, you're going to be trying to impress him at noon, and then you got to play again at 7 in the heat, just night after night after night after night. It's a grind.
So Mark Patrick, what's his real name? Mark Storen, Drew Storen. Yeah. Right. So I heard a funny story about him. They said he went to Stanford, okay, and so he was getting, they were trying to sign him to minor league deals, and then they were Stanford was recruiting him. And so the coach from Stanford comes in and tells his mother, he's going to meet his future wife in the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
Do you want him to meet his future wife at Stanford or at some little triple and double A baseball bar in Chattanooga in some double A?
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, and she said, "You're going to Stanford."
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, and I thought that's great.
I'm going to repeat that story and I'll give you credit.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
But the thing I always think about, like you talk about the grind, like I know they fly private and all that, but like a game like the Cubs played today and the game ended at 4:30,
right?
And I turned it off and went on about my day.
Right.
They've got to shower, get on a plane, fly in somewhere, and if they play Sunday night baseball or something and the game doesn't get over till midnight, they're flying into the next city, getting there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, get to the hotel, and then have to sleep during the day. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Josh was that way too.
Yeah.
And whenever. I could just see it. Right. Yeah. No, and you're right. And Josh the same way. Yeah. But still.
But it's not as easy as we think. Like it's not as lush. You know what I mean? They're still making.
Right.
But it's not as easy as like we think. You know.
Barry Larkin was Josh. Really respected him and everything. And it was funny. There was one time when I heard Josh do an interview with the Reds, with a Reds broadcaster, it may have been Brenneman, or even was asking about who his favorite shortstop was growing up and this and that, and he said Jeter, and I texted him there and I said, hey, you may want to start thinking about answering that Barry Larkin. Ding dong. You're laughing.
That's funny.
I would ask him about Eric Davis though, as well. What's Eric Davis say? And he would just be like, not much. Just the guy said, just hit the ball, man. That was Eric Davis's big thing for him.
That's funny. So Eric Moore was in here, and he was talking about playing, and they went to Cincinnati, and they played. Was it Cincinnati LaSalle, or Elder? It was Cincinnati Elder.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
And so one of those three, right? It's got
it wasn't Moeller because that was the first thing we thought of.
Yeah. And I thought it wasn't St. X. Because
and that one too. Yeah, there's that one too.
Yeah, because we couldn't think of the one, and he kept saying no, because we went through them, and I think it was Cincinnati Elder.
Okay, yeah, which is
they've
been a big baseball powerhouse too. Right?
Well, and so Center Grove went over there and smacked him around, and beat him. And so he said they're after the game and they're getting off the bus, and he said this guy's coming at him, making kind of like a beeline for him, and he said the game got kind of chippy and kind of physical at the end or whatever. So he's like, I'm gonna have to fight this dude. He was like, he's making a beeline for me. So he turns around and kind of looks at this dude and was like, what's up?
What's going on?
Yeah. And he says, Coach? And he said, yeah. And he goes, how'd you get those farm boys to be so fast? And it was Barry Larkin. Barry Larkin's son played football. Played football for Elder. And they thought they were going to bring the Indiana team over here and smack him around. And Center Grove took it to him. Yeah, and he said Barry Larkin came up to him, seeked him out after the game, and basically told him, like, wow, you guys are good. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty funny. So put your ring up to the camera.
Let's see, where are we at?
Catching the camera every now and
then. Where am I at here?
Hang on, you're good there.
Am I good there?
Yeah, it'll come up.
It'll come up.
Yeah, we're about 7 or 8 seconds behind up there on the screen.
Bring more closer if you want. Give him a
Hello, Nicole.
There you go. Look at
Thanks.
that.
I tell you, I don't wear it very often at all because it's pretty simple. Because like Coach Gilbert, my good friend's got several of them. He never wears them. So until I see a bunch of other guys wearing them a lot, then I may wear mine. But special occasion I bring it out, and sincerely, this special occasion was on this day, and this just represents all those former kids at Martinsville. 7 straight regionals and going to the semi-state 7 times.
We wore the jacket over on the chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
I had to break out my old Artesian baseball jacket.
Absolutely.
Put it on, Corey.
I can't.
It's the best. It's the best right now. But even like I said, Coach Tutterow being there, and all the Martinsville boys were with us. That day for sure.
It's kind of
for them too. And that's not BS or cliche. That's the truth. Yeah.
I mean, everything kind of molds your path. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I mean, I understand what you're saying. You kind of wish could have done it there when you had, but those guys are still part, because I'm sure you learned something, mistakes that you made in those games that you got beat, that you're not going to repeat.
And a lot of it was you can't change. You can't just because it's a semi-state and you're one step away from your lifelong goal. You can't start to try to maybe do things differently. It's got to be just like it was when you played Monrovia in Game 2. You can't try to do anything differently or add more pressure or anything like that. You just gotta, it's baseball. Play the game.
It's kind of like if
48 the field. So.
Yeah, if your best pitcher's best pitch is a curveball,
right,
and you get in a crucial situation, throw the curveball. I mean, don't try to outsmart the room.
Right,
and you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I mean, I've always thought
go with who brought you to the dance, all those kind of things.
Dance with the date you brought.
Is it kiss? Are you guys saying kiss? Keep it simple, stupid. Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the Tigers.
And my thing is, do you attack an opponent's weakness or do you attack your strength?
I'm always our strengths.
That's what I say. Yeah,
and I know Coach Belichick. I think a lot of him, most people don't, but I know he's always a big, go at people's weaknesses. But again, he's a professional coach, and can change a game plan every week, and has the other coaches and the talent to be able to do so. But I think on a high school level, it's definitely you got to play to your strengths. And, like Coach Tutterow was talking about him.
Corey said,
"Oh my, oh my!" Now, isn't that a classic? Selling the coupon books. Hey, that may be the mic drop right there, Brian Tutterow.
That's good.
Yeah.
And those started off in being a great big thick thing that Coach used to put into 2 pages, and we'd have to staple it, and then it ended up being a laminated card.
Yep.
Oh man, that's classic, Bryant. That's good stuff. I'm sure your
I
mom's.
got another one in the closet.
Hey, you want to buy one, Bryant?
I'll put it up for auction right now.
They're a relic now. They're a collectible now, so they're more expensive.
Yeah.
Look at Hoskins. Yeah, the coupon books. That's going to light up the screen. Hoskins.
Never know.
That's funny.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
So you're at LC now. You're at Lawrence Central now.
I am.
Yeah, and how's your team now?
We got off to a good start, 2-0. We play Center Grove this week, which will be a good test for us.
At Center Grove?
Well, I tell you what, our conference is, we play at, it's home and home. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. So we play at our place Tuesday, play at their place Wednesday. It'll be a good test for us.
Okay.
Coach Hatfield, the coach there, does a good job. He used to be Roncalli when I was at Rebuff. We'd had some battles, and I think he took Roncalli to the state finals one year. But no, got off to a good start. We've got a good mix of young and old kids. It's a big school. It just passed a big referendum, getting a bunch of money, gonna get a turf field in and all that good stuff. So we're looking forward to that. And but I've got my AD pitched at Purdue, so got tremendous support there. Our principal, Mr. Bush, just great support.
Do you think baseball gets ignored a lot because it's a non-revenue? Yeah,
and I hate to say it, and I hate to even admit it. I'd like to be able to tell you no. And again, when you look at the MIC, like you said, the football, maybe one of the best in the nation. The basketball, Lawrence North and Carmel were both mixed schools, and there was your basketball state finals.
Yeah.
Carmel and Center Grove are kind of the cream of the crop in the conference there in the MIC, and our goal is to be up there in that top part of that division with them. Lawrence North's got a nice team too. But yeah, unfortunately. Oh, okay, Hoskins. I'll give you a free ticket, Eric. Come and see me, buddy. I'd love to see you. See that? I'd love to see those grin, freckles, and ears. I'd love to see it all. Are they still there? Hopefully they are, brother.
They are.
Look what Brian said. We used to have to staple them in shop.
Oh yeah, right in the middle
with a big industrial size stapler. Yeah. So
good stuff.
CJ Gunn, does he play baseball?
He does not.
He Lawrence Central?
Yeah. He's Lawrence North. He's Lawrence North. Yeah, he's Lawrence North. You're all right. And then Lawrence North is Coach Kiefer, he may be I'm being disrespectful. He may be 80 years old. I don't know. I think he may be late 70s. Yeah. Been there for forever, and a nice man.
Yep.
I've worked with him before. At the basketball games, I take care of the refs and things. He's
Bud Wright's 82.
Unreal. Yeah, right.
Sam's 82 and was sharp as could be.
I mean, because what else are they gonna do? I always laugh and tell my kids, if I can't run out to the coaching box, that's when I'm done. So as long as I can run out there, I don't know what else I'm gonna do. People talk about, why don't you go be an AD or something like that. No, I enjoy coaching too much.
I like the competitive. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I don't know, it's just you like playing or coaching better.
Man, it's been so long, I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's fun to play.
Yeah, I would have to say play.
But coaching is
but it's its own deal. But
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's a Coach Tutterow thing. Is that's what he said? You know, hey, when you can't play anymore, you either become, if you love the game, you either become an umpire or you coach. If you really truly love the game, so it kind of continues into that. I don't know. It's not a control thing, but you know, when you're playing, you're just kind of playing. When you're coaching, maybe you have a little bit more control over things. A little bit, not control, but you know, control over things. You know, a little bit when it's out of your hands as a player and who's playing and all that.
We got a guy in our group that still wants to play, don't he? He thinks he's still got a chance to make it to pros.
Well, that's funny too.
Billy Owens is in a.
Okay, Billy. Yeah. Leagues. No, well, yeah, one of Patrick, his brother, right?
Yeah.
And again, what Martinsville on the breaking balls. He had that. Yeah, Patrick had a great breaking ball.
Billy sucked though. He didn't.
Yeah,
Billy had a bad leg.
Yeah, that's family. Yeah.
Billy
I love the Owens.
State finalist.
Dad was a postman, right?
No,
Billy was.
Patrick is.
Patrick is.
Yeah,
okay, geez, get it together.
Billy would have been probably a starting pitcher on the state championship team had he not broken.
Was it the leg?
Yeah.
Too funny.
So
Patrick's a bet you my great girl.
Every show you got to bring this up. Or either he's on here going to say.
Hey, I've got a good one though. You guys are gonna laugh. I try to like something else besides sports all the time in my life, so I'm a big music lover, music fan. I tell you guys are gonna laugh at this one now. I used to see these guys all the time. Shane Stuller on the bass guitar, Rocky Hayden, I believe, on the drums, Patrick Owens ripping it on the vocals, and Eric Smith on the guitar just getting after it. I used to go see those guys all the time, and they used to get up there. This one's for Coach McClain. Thank you for everything.
There's Billy.
Yeah, there we go.
I was the other kid.
Patrick had that breaking ball. Now, hey, you want to talk? And that's what's funny. My ex-wife used to probably have a crush on Patrick Owens. I mean, all healthiness involved. You know what I mean? You know, Patrick Owens, Patrick. You know. Yeah. Too funny.
Billy complains about that.
Sorry about that, Bill.
Billy had to be in by 8 o'clock and Patrick.
Band. That's it. That was the name of the band. Thank you, Billy. They were awesome. I loved. I go see them down Broad Ripple all the time.
You're talking Eric Smith like Smitty?
Yes.
I did not.
Shredded on the guitar.
I didn't know
they
that.
were phenomenal. Oh, yeah. Patrick was unreal on the vocals.
They played Fest. They had they played Cornstalk when Rob first had. Which is a precursor to everything that Rob does now.
Yeah, right.
And they played up in Indy, and they played when the bar was over here just off of
Dad
over there.
Dad, we went to go see him.
Yeah.
Yep, over by Subway. Yeah,
I didn't know Smitty was a guitar.
Yeah. Smitty would sometimes wear in this day and age of mask. He had some sort of mask he'd wear every once in a while, like a ventilated mask or something. That was I don't know why.
That's funny.
Yeah. So there you go, Billy. Thank you. Endo bent. Good stuff.
Billy's athletic career ended in junior league football. So hang on. Almost brought the ceiling down on the north side bar.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, I bet.
Playing upstairs.
I'd give anything to hear him again. That was good stuff. Shane Stuller on the bass guitar.
Don't get him going because he'll be in here with his guitar later. Believe me.
Billy, we'll be here for another half an hour, 10 minutes. Come on. That's another running joke too. Is we try to get Billy to come over, and then as soon as he gets here, we leave.
See you in a minute, Bill.
Yeah. Come on over, Billy. Then we leave.
He has his own show.
That's what friends are for. Oh, does he really? Yeah. I bet it's good.
So on Monday,
I remember Bill used to have like a record place or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Yep.
CDs regularly, yeah.
He so on Monday nights we do a Music Monday show with Rob Helms that he brings.
Okay. Oh wow.
He brings it, and they set up right there in the corner. And Jenny DeVoe was here a couple weeks ago.
No way.
Yeah.
That hair.
Yeah.
Oh.
So tomorrow night we got a good show.
Who is it?
We got some carpenter lady and some other kid. I forget.
Oh, that's right. Nice. Trenton will be here. Yeah.
Last week we had two phenomenal guys, Benito and then Peyton Collier.
The dude we had in here last week, Benito, played for Eddie Money.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can remember Jenny DeVoe opening up for like Henry Lee Summer.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Gee whiz.
So then Billy does a show on Tuesdays and Thursdays called Junk in the Trunk. And it's kind of, it started off
Sports
as
nuts, drunk in the trunk.
Yeah.
People to call in and sell stuff, but it's kind of turned into the
like a variety show,
variety show.
See how many beers
Was that the selling swap shop?
It was kind of it was a knockoff of that. It was like a takeoff on that. But people don't call in. He was trying to get people to call in and sell stuff, and he's got a number that you could call in. But people call in and tell him, and it goes sideways all the time. And Billy's
Can't imagine that.
Billy's witty as can be, and quick on his feet, and so he handles it all. You know, it's funny. Yeah, he's got bad dad jokes that he tells, and he's got all. It's a really funny show. He sings. Yeah.
That's
he played
classic.
Tequila one night for 20 minutes straight, where he just played it on and he just kept doing it. And then we've got Sports Nuts on Wednesday nights normally. So, and I mean, I know it's baseball season; you can't make it during the week.
Right.
So,
no, that's awesome. Yeah,
yeah. So it's fun. So we've got something almost every night, and we got about 8,000 followers.
Yeah, 10,000 on the one page, but yeah, anywhere between 8 and 10 on the. But we go worldwide. That's the thing.
Yeah,
we got listeners in Florida and in Arizona and Iowa. And
well, you guys are real.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's not enough of that out there.
Well, I'm going to address that right now because
it's funny you say that.
I was told that I was asked, why do you think people watch you so much? And I was told because we do games and we do our show just like we're sitting next to you at the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And they said, well, but you're not controlled by the FCC.
When
we can't side with that.
When David Bowen was in here Wednesday, he was super nervous before we went live, and I said, Dave, we're just sitting around BS and
that would be awesome, Brian. I wish we could
still find a box of those.
There might be some Super Sports somewhere in the basement. Or
you know when
I have to ask Brandy about
when
that.
Tony died, they went in and he still had Worth like aluminum bats. He still had some wooden bats, and he still had some pony cleats, some high top pony cleats that were tucked away.
I always wanted, and I look for them, and I've seen one every now and then. But when we were rolling in football, they came out with big red Express license plates for the front.
Yep,
I've
seen
it. M, and it had 3 red lines down.
Yep,
and it was big red Express.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you don't see them anywhere.
Somebody's got one.
Were you part of the bomb squad?
Good stuff. Oh yeah. We had that on our towels. The towels and stuff. Yeah, Brad Shields. Yeah, of course I talk about Bradley.
I got one somewhere at home. That's all my dad wore.
That's
I got one of those somewhere.
He'd be so happy those bag of styles.
Someone will jump in the trunk. Yeah.
I'm going to start asking that every show. Looking to buy.
We want to find old Martinsville trucker hat.
Yeah,
we never did get the fitted ones. I remember one year I did get. They were still the snap, but they were cloth all the way back.
You guys had the stripes on them, didn't you? The 3 white stripes or 2 white stripes or something.
At one time they did back in the day. They did for a while back in the day. In the first few years.
Ours was red and blue and mesh in the back and the big M on the front.
Yep. Cursive that you flipped it up back with a W if you went upside down with it.
That's funny.
But that was just the thing, you know. Hey,
I'll have to find some of those.
Yeah.
Seven straight regionals. You know, some things matter and some things don't. You know. But I can remember we did go to the full cloth, except just still snapping the back. Yeah, I think Coach was a little disappointed, probably because it made his head sweat. You know. But again, like I said, he was so selfless. He let me handle, ordering the uniforms, helping design them, all that stuff. You know, I think he knew I liked it. He didn't have to mess with it, but he knew that would eventually help me down the road when I had to do it on my own and so forth. That's just who he was.
I went to the game, the first baseball game this year. I don't think it was the first game. It was the first home game. It was last week, and I walked up to the field. I got there in the bottom of the first, and they were all red tops, red pants.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty popular.
And I didn't like it, and the more I stood,
softball kind of nothing against softball, but
but the more I stood there, I was like, it's not. But when I first looked at it, I didn't like it. But the more I stood there, I was like, okay.
We've got my kids wanted. We're all black. We got black on black.
Yeah,
you know.
You go with stirrups.
You know what? It's funny you say that. They all want to go back to it. And
really?
Actually, I even pulled out another Coach Tutterowism. He wore his pants like that all the time. He would call it dressing them.
Well, he wanted to show off them calves.
And calves, of course, yeah. And so I had to show them how to do it. But yeah, they've got them now with the stripes on them and all that stuff. They look sharp. They love it.
Yeah, I like the stirrups.
Now I don't, you know. But
you wear them down to your ankle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now.
Yeah.
They're like pajamas. Are so comfortable.
That's funny.
You know?
Don't you think it's weird that like basketball coaches wear a suit and tie,
absolutely.
and baseball coaches wear the actual uniform.
Yeah, imagine
like,
a football coach if they had to wear the uniform.
Or basketball coaches if you saw.
Too funny.
Or you wearing a suit and tie, standing out at third base with it. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah.
It is weird. Too funny.
Well,
I think while I'm thinking of it, just whenever just with Coach Tutterow to finish up, it just I got to introduce him into our Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Which was an unreal experience, and then unfortunately, but yet an honor, I carried his casket to his grave. With the Brad and some of those guys. So just
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's I mean, he's
legend, no doubt about
he's a
it.
legend. Yeah,
Legend.
I mean, there's no other way to say it than I mean, he just and the people that he touched. I mean, all the stuff that football included. Baseball. I mean, he's legendary in baseball, but.
And even I saw somebody jumped on too, like even the students. Just like I said, he was just a tremendous teacher too, and made it fun. Just not all the students here,
red pinstripes.
So what do we got here?
No, you're right, Brian. I loved those too. I had that. We had a bunch of those in the storage, and Coach let us take them when I was a senior. Yeah, they were white with the red pinstripes. That was the Dwayne McFarland era, and I think Mark Bennett wore those. The hats matched too. They were pinstripe. Looked like the Reds with a red bill, white with pinstripes, and their red M, and then all white with red pinstripe down. You remember those, Dad?
I like the red.
And I think even Vince Burpo wore those. That was when they first came over from the old school over.
Yeah. I like the pinstripes.
Yeah, you're right, Brian. Those were
Billy's talking about. He coached Cameron in travel ball, and he brought out the stirrups.
And they didn't know how to put them on.
Right.
That's funny. What's that? Can you tell?
When we didn't get the right time for SEC at Columbus.
The whole team was late? Is that what's she talking about?
And I'm trying to remember. That rings a bell. I think it was one of those things where Coach Tutterow was so upset that I've even put it out of my memory because it was so bad. If I kind of remember what she's talking about. And I think it may have even been like a conference tournament or something. They gave us the wrong starting time or something, but here I was, At least that's maybe my first one of the night. I was afraid, oh no, I'm gonna forget something or not remember.
So you had a list when you came in. Did you get to talk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I just thank you. Just like I was thinking of Coach, and like you guys all know, and like his attention to detail, which is a big part of baseball, and all the little things, everything's always said.
What's your favorite part of the? Is it the strategy X and O part or just
about baseball? Yeah. I think part of it is, I mean, we were talking about athletes and so forth, that not all kids can do it, and either you look at Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete, one of all time, he really wasn't a successful baseball kid, but that, the hard's what makes it good, that old cliche from one of those movies, I love seeing kids enjoy it and be happy and be successful and see their hard work pay off.
Yeah.
But as far as the game itself, I think just, all the little things, all the attention to detail, how all those things can help pay off. Not one of them, but you put them all together, and that may help you beat a team that's really probably better than you are.
Yeah.
On paper, they're better athletes and better players, but maybe your team did all the little things right, and mentally, and all those things helped you maybe beat them. It's kind of those things.
I always call it the game within the game.
Right there you go. Yeah,
and it's like pitch calling. Pitch calling is my favorite thing ever. I coached for just my kids coming up, and I got to call pitches for a couple summers, and I freaking loved it because it's like what's
he looking for?
Yeah, and where they set up. Like you could see a girl in the front of the box, and it's like, okay, she's going to bunt. And so we would call a rise ball, and she'd pop it, and I'd had a code for the third baseman, and I would knock a couple times, and I would tell her, like, we're going to throw a rise ball here, so it's not going to get crammed down your throat, so charge hard. And we would get kids to pop up all the time, third baseman catch it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just loved how you can manipulate the game.
All right. And most of the time it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. You feel like you're playing a game of chess, and that's what Coach Cohen said. You're controlling the pieces.
I'm going to tell you how bad he was.
Yeah, right.
We coached T-ball together. So
this is bad. This is bad.
This is bad.
This is bad.
I'm going to do it off camera. He would position the tee as much as you could to where the kid, not all kids
Oh,
are
okay.
gifted.
I'm
Not all
following.
kids are gifted.
Yeah, I'm following.
So if we need a leadoff runner on, the kid is going to hit the ball down the third base line. I don't care how the kid swings.
And you go beat it out going
because
first.
it's position of the team.
Right, yeah.
Right?
So we pull it. Yeah.
So
Well,
then,
that's genius. That's genius is what that is.
we need to run. We got a runner on third. What does he do?
Put it towards first.
First baseline.
That's genius. That's Bill Walsh. That's the genius right there.
I would put.
After about an inning, I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Watch." I was like, "No, I know."
He's
what
like-
are you doing?
He's like, you got this girl all the way in the front of the box. I was like, I know we got a runner on third with one out. I was like, we need to make sure this run gets in. So she would hit one down the first baseline.
You're right. It could be the most unathletic kid you got.
Regardless of what age.
She's going to hit that ball down the first base line. I
That's
guarantee you.
genius.
And
I
so,
was over there wanting to bet Vegas. This was the first base line.
and so, like when it was coach pitch, you got 3 pitches to the kid, and then they got to hit off the tee.
Yeah.
Well, some of the kids that weren't so good,
Yeah.
Home in the dirt.
didn't
He's
get
out
the
there.
pitches.
Oh, man, hard.
Let's get that tee out.
But you get hit off the tee, and you
Yeah.
didn't know what that for. Yeah, that is accurate. Yeah, that is accurate. Whatever.
Stuff.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
You guys know.
Play
I don't
to
know.
win the game.
That's
Right.
right.
I don't know if Brian. Yeah, Brian said that was it. I don't know if you guys know this about Brian. You know Brian's initials, don't you?
Is it BAT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
BAT.
What's his middle name?
Yeah, right, Aaron.
That's
yeah,
funny.
That's how do I know Brian's middle name?
That is funny.
That's how much I love you, Brian. But yeah, Bat. That's a good one.
That's great.
For some reason, I thought of that today. Some of those guys that you just real quickly bust to that you would get like David Dahl, what a hard nosed kid.
Yeah.
And there's a pro named David Dahl playing down for the
Yes.
Rockies, and I always think,
I seen that one.
Art Martinsville, David Dahl's better than you.
Now, tell me what you think about this. Do you watch golf at all?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, because I can't do it, so I'm amazed. Yeah.
Jordan Spieth,
Right.
I think, looks like David Dahl. Every time I look at him, and my wife always goes, I don't know.
Right.
But I tagged David in this, so I don't know if I don't
Right,
think
or
he
maybe
watched
you
tonight.
catch it later, so,
yeah, maybe he'll catch it later tonight. But I think Jordan Spieth looks like David Dahl.
Such a hard nosed kid. I know you talking about Shad earlier. One of the original number 81s in football.
Matsuyama won, but only by 1 stroke.
Did he really?
Yeah. I don't know if they win the sudden death or nothing, but 10 under to 9 under to Valtorres.
What was it? What was it again? I'm sorry. That is Sunday night. That's
I'm
weird
not used
time.
to this being
What was it
Sunday
again?
night.
Yeah.
Matsuyama won.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
only by 1 stroke.
He had a 6-shot lead when I left.
Yeah.
4 when I
He
left.
was
Yeah.
12 over, or 12 under at one point.
And that's crazy. I'm so ignorant. That's that kid from Happy Gilmore, huh?
Yeah.
Is that
What I can't even remember his name now. That was in second there for quite a while. He was the caddy in Happy
He was in
Gilmore.
the movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen some
The kid with the blonde hair.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
my poster.
crazy.
And it shows a picture, I think, of
Adam Sandler
Adam
choking?
Sandler
Yeah.
choking him or
Yeah,
something.
remember? Yeah.
Yes, I
That's-
do.
I was
That's
like, "Are you
funny.
kidding me?"
So David Dahl works for Dell. He lives in Austin, just
Look at
outside of
his
Austin.
kids' initials. Net and
And
Jet.
Jet. That's funny.
Nice.
That's good.
So I got a friend of mine. His name's Jimmy Hupp, and
Okay.
he always wanted to name his kid Adam, so that if he was a good basketball player, when he made a basket, it would say Adam Hupp, like
Nice.
Adam up,
Add him up.
Yeah.
Add him up.
And then someone said they should always name him Seven for Seven
right.
Hupp.
Oh,
but
yeah. Talking about Mikey. Let's see, he's doing well. I'm sure again another one of those left-handed sweet swings in Martinsville high school baseball.
Good lefties did.
Yep. And got I think Kyle Stout behind the plate. Well, he's principal now. Isn't
Yeah.
he?
Principal, real estate agent. He's doing well. Yeah.
Hitting all those 3-pointers in basketball.
Yeah.
Dude,
Catching.
And his brother, there's another brother combo.
Kevin Stout.
Kevin,
Yep,
yeah.
another good breaking ball guy. I think you had John Dillo on there.
Dillo.
Obviously, Mr. Dillo's son. He went to Manchester, and I went up there for an alumni game and got a base hit off of him in the alumni game.
Nice.
And he was a big curveball guy, so I sat curveball and hit it back up the middle in an alumni game.
That's funny.
Big John.
See, he's scouting the alumni.
Oh
games.
yeah, right. Oh, yeah. There's no other way to
Yeah.
You can't turn it off.
Late
Yeah.
in the game.
That's
You
right.
can't turn it off. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't show up here to get out. You know.
What's
And like
through
you
the
said,
son
the
or
Gregory
father?
boys,
Mm,
and I think it's I think you,
Gregory, yep.
and Jimmy and brothers,
Yeah.
you know, and then Big Brian coming through.
BJ and John Eric.
Yeah.
You know. Who else?
Danny Arnold. When you talk about Danny Arnold, of course, his brother Adam. Was a
Adam.
good ball player
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
They move in, and you know what? Dom Core, I saw his name on there. He was always one of Coach Tutterow's favorites. Just because Dom always kind of had that little grin, and didn't say much. And I think he reminded Coach Tutterow himself a little bit.
Dominic Cora.
Yeah. Coach Tutterow loved Dom.
Yeah,
loved him. Always have that little grin going.
He's a good dude.
Jamie Newman, an underrated athlete. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
And I ran into and of course, and I know who else Coach loved, the Robertson boys, Skin, Eric, Skin.
Yeah.
And I remember he one time asking me, he said, "All right, if I call it," because he just picked up on the nickname and would call him that. And then one day I remember Coach saying, "Is there something to that I should know, or can I call him Skin? Is that all right?"
Yeah. Is it some inappropriate thing?
Right. And that's
I'm positive it's inappropriate.
Typical. Right. That's how you're all right, Coach.
Well, I got an email, or I got a text message. I don't know if I'll be able to find it or not now.
Zach Abel, another left-handed swing there, sweet swing.
Yeah,
man, just so much talent. And I ran into Doug Payton.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah,
he made those.
I saw him this summer. Yeah, Yeah, he had a nice. That was nice of him.
His boy's a good catcher.
Yeah. I wish I
play.
had him. Yeah, we ran into him in the Bulls this summer.
Yeah, he's going to Evansville.
Yeah,
and he could play.
Yeah.
So it's a funny story about those cornhole boards. So
nice.
Yeah, Andrew started making them this last year when COVID hit and everything was on lockdown. So Andrew was like, "I'll just make some money by making cornhole boards," and then they would have them on Facebook and they would do an auction, and he would sell 20 spots at $10 or $15 a piece or whatever, and then they would get a random number generator, and whatever number, that's who won it. So Andrew starts doing it, and they start making. And Doug's showing them, this is how you put them together and do them everything. So they get it going or whatever, and Andrew gets bored with it. It's like, I don't want to do it anymore. And now Doug's stuck doing it. And so, I mean, he's made some killer boards, man. He's got all kinds of. He's got a guy that he gets the covers from, and I mean, he's got some awesome Cubs on.
You can't beat that. That game. Period.
Yeah, that's a good tailgating,
Brian's mentioning two more: Greg Pemberton, Gary Britton.
Oh, there we go. Yep, big curveball guys.
I tagged Gary Britton today. I was hoping he would get on. Yeah. Did you really?
They were all on the team: Greg Pemberton, Britton, and Peyton.
That's
coached
funny.
all three of them on the team.
We got Tony Kerr and David LaPasa that played back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about Johnny earlier.
Yeah.
And David, David Church there with David LaPasa. I think it's David at the church with Pastor Floyd.
He has been. He has. He's not right now.
Yeah. There's another good Martinsville guy down at my dad's church, Pastor Floyd.
Yeah.
I was thinking of too, Dad, and I don't know if you know, I wanted to make sure we mentioned too, of course, obviously, is I'm talking about brothers again, Andrew and Derek Duncan. Sorry about their dad.
Yeah.
His dad, their dad passed, veteran, and those two boys again. Derek, he's the biggest catcher I ever had. And it took a different way to teach him, because he was just so darn big and tall, and our arms and legs, and Andrew was such a great basketball player, but he could hit a baseball too. He was really good.
Yeah.
See that PJ running like Pete Rose down first base.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They both thought the world of each other.
Is it true that Pete Rose's brother was an assistant coach at Mooresville for a long time?
I never heard that. Really?
Yeah,
I never heard that.
I think that's true, but I have to. I
wonder
have to look it up. Like in the
Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, heavens, yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Hall of Fame of life,
right?
But the Hall of Fame of baseball.
No doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. All he's done for baseball, yeah.
That's why I was 14 growing up.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
I think he'll end up in the Hall of Fame after he dies.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, they're gonna punish him by saying,
while you're alive. That's
kind of like Santa.
Yeah.
Never got in there until after he passed away, and then.
And here's
and that what happened?
Yeah.
No one got in.
After he died. Yeah. And
he was all right, Steve.
Yeah.
He was all right.
Steve Stevens, you know him.
He was an all right catcher.
That's Todd Thompson's dad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mr. Stevens, good to hear from you, sir.
He joins.
Todd Thompson was a darn good catcher too.
Yeah. Steve Stevens is a good historian. He knows a lot of stuff around Martinsville sports, around the history of stuff. He knows a lot of stuff.
That's a good one.
It's like Roger Clemens is not in the Hall of Fame because he did steroids, but all the batters he was facing were doing steroids.
right.
So
what are you gonna do?
if I'm him, I take my $300 million that I made over my career and go. I don't care if I ever get in this.
I love Clemens.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool, Steve. Yeah, see, Todd was on that team I was talking about earlier, that Sandy Colfax.
That summer
team in Fort Wayne that led into high school. And we had so much success with. Yeah, Todd was a part of that. Todd was a great wrestler too.
Yeah.
Dude, you've been on here too.
2:38. Seems like we've been here 20 minutes.
Wait a minute. What time is it?
Yeah. So.
Good deal.
Nice.
So I appreciate you coming down, man.
My pleasure.
You kind of made a day of it, right? You went hang out with your dad for a little bit. Yeah. I guess I'm sure you guys figured out Andy's dad's sitting here off camera, kind of hanging out with us. So
It's been quiet.
yeah.
We went and enjoyed some good barbecue.
Gather around.
Yep. He's Mr. Martinsville, sure, himself, and supports it. Yep. His name fits him well, Rocky. He's Rock. Yep. Name fits him well.
I remember him on the sidelines back when I played.
Yeah, absolutely. Did a lot of PA announcing and stuff, even for me at Brebeuf and all that.
Nice.
Yep. Good times. Good time. Thanks, Eric. Good luck to the Trojans this week, brother. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it. Please tell Patrick to do so.
Yep.
That's funny. That's so funny. We brought up that endo bent. That's good stuff.
We try to cover
Thanks,
all
everyone.
aspects.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, but we did forget to ask the most important question.
Oh Lord.
You know,
okay, this is a standard for everybody.
The standard for everybody.
MLB Network usually asks what they had for breakfast, or they do brushing your teeth. They go, do you do water, then the toothpaste, and then water? Anyway,
it's top 5 candy bars. What's your top 5 candy bars?
All right, I think you got to go Reese Cup. You got to go Heath.
Ooh, I don't know if we've ever had. Have we had a Heath bar?
Snickers, of course.
Snickers.
Milky Way.
Ooh, there you go.
Twix.
There you go.
And here's the sad part. I just rattled those off like it was nothing. Then you have to think about it.
That's okay.
That's sad.
So
yeah.
We can David Bolin said Zagnut.
What?
Yeah.
He had some off the wall. I was like, what?
He had the zero.
No, he's making that stuff up.
He said somebody said
I do have a good
zero.
David Bola story too.
He's a coconut guy though.
Yeah. Right. So
he said almond joy. And I'm like,
So
that's classic.
We don't consider M&M's part of the group because they're so far above and beyond every other candy bar. They're in like
they're elite.
They're in a session of their own, and then everything else falls down below. So
I do have a good, quick David Bowen story. Dad will laugh at this one. Mike Sampson, all those guys in the old Shireman neighborhood, Mike Broadstreet, Todd Massey, who's no longer on this earth, all those boys, Chip Mullen, Rick Flake. We somehow, I'm sure, were being idiots, and we were messing around with Julie, David's sister.
Julie, okay.
And before we know it, David lived down the street on Byram. We were all on Byram. He's on the corner down there. Before we know it, after we're messing around with Julie, bothering her, picking on her, something, probably because we liked her. Here comes David down the street, and of course he's all muscles and those thighs coming at us. And I'm thinking, man, we have really messed up here, because she said, yeah, I'm going to go get my brother and so forth. So I blame it on Samson or one of the other guys, probably them. I'm sure it wasn't me. Or Chip Mull or somebody, but I was scared to death because there come Dave, and he was just playing with us. But I tell you what, I think I called Julie ma'am the rest of my life.
I would have been more scared of Barry.
Right.
David came in here on Wednesday looking like he just walked off the field. He was all buff and I was like, damn, man.
He's
still carry the ball.
He still looked like he could play.
Right, could carry the ball, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Barry's a trip. Barry used to kind of help us a little bit with football here and there with different things, and he used to always make fun of me because whenever we'd be going out to eat or something, I'd always have like $2, and he'd always call me $2.8. I always had like $2 in my wallet at all times when we were eating that George Costanza or something.
That's fun.
Old name. You guys remember Robin Schoolcraft?
Robin Schoolcraft, yep.
He just passed away.
Yeah, just recently, yeah. He was Coach Siderwood's first All-State player. Yeah. He was a good athlete.
Oh yeah, like I say, between football and baseball, that's what I was thinking about with Coach Tutterow with football. I mean, that's a whole other show almost. Just what he did. Kenny Mask and Mark Fischel and all those guys coming through. Merritt Barnett, all the way to Shields and all those guys, all the receivers. Coach Bo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of him driving down here too.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, and the tradition, it needs to be talked about.
I think this new guy is trying to put it back.
We can't live in the past. I get that, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to honor it a little bit. It meant something, it wasn't just. But it's like again, it wasn't just something little. This is a big deal. all of it.
You know what? It kind of reminds me of IU basketball and Martinsville football are kind of on the same path. In the 80s, they were outstanding. They were elite. They were top of that. You know what I mean? And then now they've fallen off, and IU basketball is the same way. Mike Woodson said, we're putting the thing back together. He said he's going to have old players come back.
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, and like you said, you can't live in the past and say, well, 30 years ago we won. Well, how about let's win now?
Right.
But you still have to remember that and honor those guys and bring those guys back and have that camaraderie and understand, like, this is the standard that we expect this. We don't expect
where
this.
it's been. Let's get it back there.
Yeah, because the losers mentality, to me, I think is hard to break. I think it's really, really, really hard to break. But once you do, you got to get kids that are used to winning and expect to winning and don't accept losing. You know,
I get in arguments with the younger guys at work. Imagine that. But they accept and want 15 to 18 wins in the first round of the tournament. They're like, let's at least we'll get to that point. I'm like, no, that's just like Notre Dame 10-2. I'm not happy with that.
Yeah,
I expect them to go to the championship game and win at some point in time. And they're like, no, that's good for IU basketball. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, right,
we didn't grow up to that.
Right.
We'll throw a chair across your.
Well,
very good.
Yeah,
hey, I appreciate it. No, thanks for having me. This is great.
It's been a blast. Yeah, it's been fun. So maybe at the end of the year, maybe have a roundup if you got time.
Let me know anytime. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So it's been a blast. So we'll have I want to point out one more time.
I got a non-sport story about you.
Got you.
Oh, okay. My senior year.
Okay.
What you got going on there?
The AMI roofing.
Bubs, roofing.
I remember you taking me out to lunch one day.
Yeah.
We went to Gaddy's in your old, was it red and white?
Red, white, yep. Jimmy. Yep.
Oh, was it Jimmy?
Jimmy,
yeah.
Yep. Jimmy.
I don't know why that sticks in my mind. Like,
you
took me out of school, we went to Gaddy's and had pizza for lunch. I was like, that's awesome.
You know, and that was a Coach Tutterow. He was, and even at his funeral, they were talking about, one girl spoke up and talked about that. Was he would always take me out, whatever we did together was everything. You know, he would always buy and take me out. He'd take me out for a good meal, and that was a definite one. Yeah, I think about your dad all the time. I know you do too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Luke's doing well. Say hello to Mike for me too.
Yeah. Four kids.
That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
Money.
But it's fun watching. I think his little one now. It's not his little one. It's Cooper. Ezekiel's his little one, but Cooper I think is going to be his ball player. So I went and watched him yesterday. Yeah. First game of Little League. So.
Keep living and going.
Yeah. Awesome.
I appreciate it. So forgive my ignorance. So this is like now a catalog, right? Somewhere.
Yeah. So
it'll be on page, the Porch Time LLC.
Yeah, it'll be on Porch Time LLC. You can, if you get on there, you can just search Sports Nuts, or you can search your name, and it'll pull up.
I like to hear Coach Siderwitz's and everything too.
Yeah, they're all cataloged on there. Yeah, so they're good stuff. We didn't do it. We need to have Coach Siderwitz on again.
Are you one of the all-time leader in butt hits?
Yes.
I thought that was Bobby Payne because
he was. No, he is. Yeah.
Told
and I should have mentioned him too. Yeah, along with Coach Taylor, along with Coach Tutterow's great assistants.
Does he still hold the record?
Yeah, I think it was like 13. Like 13. I think I had like 11 one year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got the lefty.
You got the lefty. Yeah.
Easy drag butt down first.
Your dad told me to do it, so I did it. You know. I didn't say, "Oh, I'm a double hitter." I'm whatever you say. I am Coach Tutterow. Yep.
Bobby Payne used to always say he had the record for stolen bases, or had a high amount of stolen bases, and he said,
he had those big old thighs.
Yeah, and he said I wasn't fast. He said, but I could read pitches.
Yeah, get a big jump. Yeah.
Glad you were on here, Bryant.
Yep. Thanks, Bryant.
Conversation.
Yep. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Because
too bad you couldn't come down.
Yeah, we should have thought ahead and just invited him down and had him.
Yeah, no big. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
That's my bad on us, Bryant. I hope your mom was able to watch too, and if not, just let her play it back. And
no, agree 100%. No, I think she'd love that. That was one thing she told me to make sure I did, was keep his stories alive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. With Coach Siderwitz, we didn't do a good job, but he was like the third show that we did on Sports Nuts. And we didn't do a good job of promoting it. I should have tagged a lot of people, because then they would have tagged people and they would have told people, because when we had Sam on, we made a conscious effort to put it out there, and his daughter Julie tagged a bunch of people. We even had one of his players call in from Texas. She called Kevin's phone, and we held it up to the microphone, and you could hear her voice cracking when she was talking to him on the phone. Her voice was cracking and stuff, so it was pretty cool. So
just like we talked about tonight in this town, you get Ryan Wolf in here, or TJ or something. You can hit it all.
I'd love to get TJ this summer if he gets back here or whatever, sometime and have him talk. Cause,
stories.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great run for him. Thanks for doing it.
Celebrate the community, absolutely. Oh, she was on.
All right, good. Sharon was on. Good. So she's a good woman too.
Yep.
I think a lot of her. Awesome. So thanks again, Andy.
Yeah, my pleasure. No, thanks for having me.
We'll keep in touch and maybe do it. Yeah,
please do. Appreciate it.
You played with Tut here.
Who was it?
I played 2. And Billy Ted played short. Oh, he played second base.
He was shortstop.
Played shortstop. Yeah.
Wow.
I think they graduated together.
I think they graduated. Yeah. Let me end this here. You ready to end it?
Yep.
All right.
Thanks for coming down.
We'll see y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Thanks,
see you guys.